You want me to do it again?
I want you to do it again. I want you to be fun this time.
All right, fine. Hey, listeners, it's Josh.
Okay. We are doing a live show at Caveat.
Yes.
Here in New York City.
Yes.
For all of you listeners that are here in New York City.
Yes.
And even for those of you who are not, stay tuned because we are going to be at Caveat on April 27th.
Yes.
Doors are open at 6:30 p.m.
Oh, you're really
And the
selling
episode
this.
is The Worst of All Possible Worlds Presents. What's the rest of it?
The Worst of All Possible Worlds presents Brian is Back.
I am.
The 85th episode podcast spectacular live from New York City featuring special guest, and this is new information, Michael Kupperman.
Hey! You did it without being really fucking soy or boring this
How about
time.
you suck my fucking dick?
That's right. AJ is also here.
I'm also here. Listeners will remember that AJ is also here. But they'll also remember that Michael Kupperman was our guest on the heart condition episode and introduced us to the madness that was Bob Hoskins having Denzel Washington's ghost live inside of him.
Inside of his body.
So tickets are live, obviously.
Yep.
Check the link in the episode description for that.
Yes.
If you show up in person, you might get a taste of some free brand new merchandise.
Yeah,
that
like
we have. Don't
might-
get too excited.
It might be a sticker.
But if you
It's probably going to be a sticker.
Stickers are great.
But
We
if you
love
can't be
stickers.
here, tune in. You can stream live. We will be here with you in spirit, and you won't be able to get COVID from us because we are all carrying it.
That's
for
right.
every minute
We're
of our
going to be
lives.
coughing so much during this live show. Please buy tickets.
Oh, it's gonna be so unfunny if we get COVID doing this show.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, how's your brain doing?
It's great, dude.
Yeah.
I've never felt better. Why do you ask?
Well, I heard rumor that you totally Kennedy'd on the mountain this last weekend.
Kennedy'd?
Yeah.
I was gonna say Sonny Bono.
I Leon Kennedy'd in that my brain was subject to severe trauma by a zombie. I fell while I was skiing. Last week we got to hear about how I was in ski country right after the break. The adventure continued because on Monday I caught a turn a little bit too hard, spun out, whacked the back of my head. Fortunately, I was wearing my helmet. That
Always wear
night,
it.
I actually ended up going out for a dinner as well, and I felt like a little I don't know. I just assumed it was because I hadn't had coffee all day. But then when I got back to New York, I went to the doctor. And he was like, "Oh yeah, you definitely got a concussion." So I'm pretty much fine.
It was weird when you took the turn. You screamed, "I will never fall," and then immediately ate it afterwards.
Yeah, no, that was pure hubris on my part.
So many possible worlds, but we got this one. So many possible worlds, but we got this one.
Welcome to The Worst of All Possible Worlds, the first and only podcast about TBIs caused by hubris. I'm the worst of all possible Brians.
I'm the worst of all possible AJs.
And I am concussed Joshua.
That's right.
Our newest character.
Yes, that's right. That's right. New guy just dropped. Guy with concussion. And we are joined this week by a very special guest. He comes to us from the Mammonburg podcast, which I actually appeared on a few weeks ago. Did an episode about James Dobson, focusing on the family, things of that nature. It is Josiah Sutton.
Hello. Yeah, that's me. I am one of 4 of the hosts of Mammonburg, which is kind of a, I don't know, Christian-y leftist podcast. A lot of overlap, I feel like, to your guys' interests.
How is Mammoncoin doing in relation?
Yeah, you have a competing cryptocurrency.
Really?
Yeah, we're working on
Yeah.
this. Yeah. It's doing great, let me tell you. It's going to the moon, as they say.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What is the exchange rate between Mammon coin and Pops coin?
It's the better one.
Okay. Got it. Anyway, Josiah, like I was saying, I went on Mammonburg a few weeks ago, and everybody should go listen to that episode if they get the chance. We'll put the link in the show notes. When we were talking about this stuff, one of the things that came up is that you grew up on Adventures in Odyssey. And
I did. Yes.
Doing these Wits Endless Summer episodes where we recap episodes of the children's evangelical radio drama Adventures in Odyssey, it's always really fun to bring somebody on who actually knows the shit and is deep in it. And you're in the shit, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I grew up with this.
Is that the noise that played in your brain when you listened to this
whenever
episode?
I put one of those tapes in on my hard drive, that's
So what was your upbringing like in terms of like evangelical shit, and how did it feel having these memories unlocked again?
Oh yeah, it was so cool. So I was homeschooled and evangelical, so like I was in the shit. I'm from Iowa. I still live in Iowa, so right in the Midwest evangelicalism kind of stuff. My dad was Reformed, so I like a lot of the kind of Reformed jokes.
That's why I thought maybe you were going to be like from Northwest, where the real sickos are.
No, see, my dad like became Reformed. Like I think he kind of moved that direction, kind of alongside of like the Young, Restless, and Reformed guys. The way that kind of took over evangelicalism. So you're like John Pipers and shit like that.
Yeah.
He liked R.C. Sproul, but I have like a mixed bag tradition because like my parents would just like send me off to like Bible camps. Like when they, when friends had them. So I was like at charismatic shit. I was at, so I kind of got like the array of evangelicalism, and my home was like Reformed.
So how did Odyssey factor into that then?
I mean, among homeschoolers or whatever, it was always at like the Christian bookstores, right?
Yeah, just reading Left Behind Kids and chowing down on Testaments.
I was so lucky. My dad, being like good Reformed, was not a rapture guy. So I don't have the end times paranoia that like I hear people talk about.
Have,
So no Thief in the Night? You never saw Thief in the Night growing up?
I saw it later. And, I actually only saw it for the first time less than a year ago. I have kind of a fondness for the movie though, because it's fucking filmed in Des Moines.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, that's right.
What's really crazy is like they keep shooting all the sequels in and around Des Moines until the last movie, and they film They go to my hometown. West. They go to Gallup, New Mexico. all of the whole like last half of that movie is shot at Red Rock State Park.
What a blessed collaboration this is today.
I love
truly
that,
a monopoly on the end times in this room right now.
I would say we'll get to it later, but I think the second episode we're going to talk about was on one of the CDs I had growing up, and it was just like fucking like Nom flashbacks. Like,
you were like Jerry Whittaker in that moment, except not dead.
We're now entering into Springs Awitkening. We have once again made it back to Springs Awitkening.
We've already been there
this summer.
It's already been spring.
Yeah, no, I know. Did I already announce that we were?
I think that you have.
I think you've
this
done that.
Happens every time, AJ. We're now in Springs Awitkening, and it's like October.
It's Wits Endless Summer. The season will always be Wits Endless Summer.
Doesn't change.
But it's spring and summer every other day. Blue Wind gets so bad.
It's true.
I will sing the song of Purple. Wits Endless Summer. So this is an old episode. We've rewinded a little bit, much like the ending of a Hotline Miami level. And we've got a Chris skit.
Oh,
That's
my God.
how far back we are.
Sketches are back, baby!
The episode we are starting with is called Curious Isn't It?
This is episode 112. Phil Lawler episode first aired in April of 1990.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. We're going back, AJ. How did you feel, AJ, specifically, about hearing another Chris skit?
It's interesting because I actually do like Chris being a character in it. There's so many more possibilities for like the meta in terms of what my purposes of listening to this are. I feel like what's weird about these sketches is that in every single one I've ever heard, Chris is so horny.
Okay, I'm so glad you pointed this out.
Thank you,
This was such a weirdly sexual sketch.
And so at the beginning of this Chris sketch, she's talking to Bob?
Yeah, Bob Luttrell, producer of Adventures in Odyssey.
Right.
Oh, is that who it is?
Bob,
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris.
He's the audio
what
guy
is this
mainly.
big box doing in the middle of the floor here?
That? Oh, it's mine.
Well, that's nice. What's in it?
Just a little experiment, something I'm trying to prove.
Really? What?
You're the nosiest person around here, you know that?
I am not.
Yes, you are. You can't be satisfied with my answer and let it go at that. You have to know more.
You woman.
Can I help it if I have a healthy sense of curiosity?
Uh-huh. Well, all I ask is that you don't open that box, okay?
What's in the box, Bob? What's in the box?
Our extended moment with Bob Luttrell, who is actually, he's someone that they poached. He used to do the Salvation Army radio show, whatever it was called.
Interesting. Okay, yeah.
Where they had a radio show from 1948 until 1985. Actually, I think the current wit, Andre Stoika, used to do the Salvation Army radio show.
Andre Stoika sounds like a Tom Stoppard character. Like Ghost of Utopia
are you just
or
saying
some
he's
shit?
Polish, AJ?
I guess, but it has such a good ring to it. Like
That's
it
true.
sounds like a character's name in a play.
I do also want to say Bob Luttrell has one actual like on-screen credit as a voice actor for Inch High Private Eye. Yeah.
Really?
So, yes.
AJ was absolutely tickled by that news.
So excited.
Private investigator. Oh boy! I look through my magnifying glass, but it's too big. But you can use it to see me, the tiniest
There we
private
go.
inspector.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
It's really cool to see this like visual component of these jokes I've heard quite a lot.
Yeah, you get to see AJ's eyes light up and me
Yeah.
just like going
Oh my
like,
God.
The pure disappointment
Okay.
in my co-host.
here we go.
you can
Here we
see
go.
the bit igniting.
Yeah, it really adds a lot to
Much
it.
like a launch pad in Texas. So now we get Chris by herself. The problem with this sketch in particular is that she has to monologue her way through it. Bob Luttrell is gone, and we have
Right.
to have her interact with this box, and she
Yeah,
comes
she
up
just-
with rationales for
lets
why
her
she should open the box.
Horny energy kind of
Yeah, this
propel
is
her
where the-
through this.
Yeah.
This is where the horniness comes out. Because
Yeah.
the clip we just listened to, that's not where it is.
There's some
This is-
like
here's where it
inclinations
is.
there, but here, yeah.
yes, here it
Of
is.
course, he's really good at tinkering. I mean, he made my stereo sound better than it ever did just by fiddling with it.
With his fingers.
Chris wants everybody to fiddle with her box, folks.
Yeah. So then she opens the box and
Well, I'm not going to be left out of this. I'm going to take a peek. oh, it's a life raft.
it's a life raft. They have done this sketch before, and we have featured it on this show before.
Have we?
Not this exact sketch, but there was a bit in the Gifts for Madge and Guy episode where someone's like, "Oh, I hate getting my Christmas presents. It's probably a necktie," and then he opens it up and it's a life
Oh
raft.
my
They
God.
do
What
the
is the
same
deal
gag.
with the fucking life rafts? Why is this like their joke?
I guess it's inflation fetish.
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
Goku shaped life raft.
Well, we hear it too. We hear it here. Like you managed to like pull up the audio here a
Yes.
little bit to get us a little tidbit here, right, Brian?
No. Don't inflate.
That's what Chi-Chi says to Goku every night at dinner.
That's right. That's right. But Goku doesn't listen, does he?
No, he
but
doesn't
one
listen.
more
He's just,
bite.
I just gotta keep eating, Chi-Chi.
So this is how Chris dies, right? Like she's shoved up against
Yeah,
the
this is the
glass.
end of
It breaks
Chris,
her neck.
yeah.
That's the end. That's why they don't do sketches anymore.
Yeah, that's
Stirring final words from Chris.
that's the whole bit, and then we go into the episode.
You know, we jump straight into it. So we got two kids. Their names are Ben and Esther. Really
Yes.
good Jewish names for Christian
well,
kids
funny
here.
enough, these are actually the first names of both of those voice actors.
Okay.
Esther, and I'm mad that I now know you were a homeschooler because I would have thrown in another episode here because Esther was in an episode about homeschoolers.
Oh,
So there were a bunch of
hell
parents
yeah.
who wrote letters to Adventures in Odyssey. They're like, why haven't you guys featured homeschooling in any of your episodes? Because, so Adventures in Odyssey did an episode where Robin Jacobs is jealous of her friend Esther, who is homeschooled, and her homeschooled friend Esther is jealous of Robin, and they
hell yeah.
Prince and the Pauper, their situation, I guess. And then they stopped airing it, and they didn't put it in their albums for like a few decades because the homeschool parents complained again.
Well, because and also as we all, and I wouldn't be surprised if a big piece of that is that as we all know, homeschooled kids interact a lot with kids who aren't homeschooled. That's kind of what they're known for. I'm sure you can speak to that, Josiah.
Oh yeah.
What was your main sort of social interactions growing up homeschooling?
Yeah.
Like, was it
Yeah.
going to the Bible camps, or was it like, did you have play dates set up by your parents?
Amway selling
Amway,
meetings,
yeah. Yeah, multi-level marketing.
Yeah.
It was so like when it came to high school, we had like a co-op type thing. So like I still got kind of a high school experience, but my high school met once a week at a church.
Right.
Oh, okay. Sure.
But that's how we found our way to still like do all the high school drama still or whatever. It's just like once
nice.
a week we'd let it all out,
Yeah.
Wow.
We'll have to have you back on for a homeschool centric episode because
I'd
Josh
love
was
to.
homeschooled
I'd
for
love
a
to
little
do that.
while. Like,
Oh
yeah.
God, yeah, no, it's 7th grade. It was I had experience with that as well. That I was homeschooled for a year, And we would go to something called the homeschool building, which was a building full of homeschoolers. That was also how I qualified for the spelling bee that year because I wasn't going to an actual school.
That seems to resemble a school?
Yeah, no,
okay.
A bit.
It's sort of like cryptocurrency in that they start to just recreate the structure that they were moving away from all the time.
They do that, but like what it is though, it's like instead of a qualified teacher, you get like one of the moms who's kind of good at math.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, what's weird is like I have an aunt and uncle who used to work in a homeschooling co-op and like long after their kids grew up because they were actual teachers.
Yeah.
So they just they did have some real teacher. They do at a lot of these co-ops.
With like who have, because they're gonna get roped in, right? Because it's like, oh my God, you actually have the training.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you come in? Yeah. But like I took a psychology class in high school that was taught by the math teacher just because she took a psych class in college and liked it. And then like
Wow.
Then oh my God, she made the day on Freud optional.
Yes.
Because it was
we love to hear it.
Like my early homeschool rebellion was we had a book report at the end, so I read General Introduction to Psychoanalysis and taught everyone
good.
Freud.
Oh my
That's
God.
good.
Wow.
Well,
Homeschooling is so cool. Oh my God.
unfortunately, in this episode, we get no actual homeschool content.
No.
We just get these kids,
Unfortunately.
Ben and Esther. And let me tell you something.
Ben was also in an episode. That's all I have on him.
Great. Here's the thing. To quote SpongeBob SquarePants, oh, brother, these kids stink.
These kids stink.
How quickly after this are they thrown through the no-no door, Brian?
They never appear again after this
Thank
episode.
God.
Each one of them had one episode before this between them, and this is it.
I loaded up the Adventures in Odyssey wiki, and it is so funny. What they have for Ben is the only thing they have about him is he has a younger brother, and he's not a good speller.
Yeah.
He's not. He's prone to malapropisms, and we'll hear that throughout this episode. We might as well just roll this first clip there because they go into the woods and they see Whit. What's going on? Oh,
it's Mr. Whitaker. Oh yeah, he's talking to someone. It's a lady.
Do you recognize her?
No. Do you?
No.
Come on.
So Whit,
Get to the fucking
this
point.
old lady, and these two kids are in a cemetery.
Why? Why are they meeting in a cemetery?
Because that's just the normal place to meet people.
I don't think by the end that gets explained still. Why
Is it
the fuck are
implied?
they meeting in a cemetery?
Is it implied that they're at Jenny's grave, at Whit's wife's grave? Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, the note I took was that Whit can only get it up around corpses.
I mean,
particularly
that
his
sounds
wife.
right. Yeah. The kids oversee this conversation between Whit and a lady, and one of them says, "Curious, isn't it?" That's the title of the episode.
Wow.
It's a bad title, Pat.
It is. It's not a
It's
very
a
good one.
bad title.
So then we get a little bit of this conversation between Whit and the old lady.
It's a very big step, Whit.
Very loud birds.
I think it's time.
Well, I hate to bring it up, but what about your
Fucking
wife?
birds.
Jenny? Oh, I think this is definitely something she'd want me to do.
I didn't know Mr. Whitaker was married.
His wife died a long time
What's
ago.
your answer?
Shh.
Great exposition. A+.
I guess it's yes.
Oh, that's wonderful, Emma. You made me so happy.
I'm happy too.
I'm really upset Esther didn't mention that his wife died of an untreated strep infection.
Yeah.
That's really the important thing. Is like,
I will
get
say-
those antibiotics.
I do love how camp that lady's performance is. She's really full on into it, and I love it.
I cannot find out who this lady is. Like, outside of her relationship to Adventures in Odyssey, and she's done a fair number of episodes. I don't know if she's doing things under a specific pseudonym for Adventures in Odyssey, and she acted under a different name
She's
elsewhere.
ashamed.
Yeah, which,
I mean,
good for her.
But I think she had to be campy in this performance to be heard over the birds.
That's true.
I think are sitting on the microphone and screaming.
What they wanted to do was make the clandestine conversation really, really quiet. And they panned it all the way left, and I tried to account for that here. And the birds were just at normal level, if not slightly too hot. And so the birds just completely overpower this conversation.
Sure.
It's like, okay, if the conversation is really between the two kids and you just sort of get little tiny bits of Whit in the background, but they let this very quiet convo happen for like a minute and a half.
Yeah, it's so long. And yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the birds because I like was taking notes in this and I just have in all caps, that fucking bird is so loud.
So loud.
it's just so loud. Oh my God.
So Whit gives Emma a ring that belonged to his dead wife.
Yeah.
And, everything is like, oh, I'm so happy. You've made me the happiest man, whatever.
Whit is giddy. You're seeing emotions from him that you have never seen before.
Wait a minute. Did they go to the cemetery because he had to get the ring off her finger? Like, is this a grave robbing situation?
They have shovels.
Esther assumes that Whit and this lady are going to get married, which is frankly a very reasonable assumption. But Ben, meanwhile, is a little skeptical. He's like, well, I'm not sure.
Ben doesn't want to jump to contusions, which is another one of those Adventures in Odyssey lines that has been in my head my entire adult life.
Right, it's so funny.
Jumping to contusions is what happened to me on Monday when I took that turn down the Black Diamond slope.
So they end up at a flower shop.
Yeah.
And just happen to see Whit scurrying out of this flower shop.
He drives off in a car, which they note is very nice because, of course, it is. We know that Whit is wealthy.
Whit is fucking loaded.
But the flower man runs out of the store.
It's the flower man. Come on.
Great.
Flower man.
I did it again.
Something wrong, mister?
Huh? Oh, no. I just forgot to give that man his receipt, that's all. That's the third time this week.
I guess you bought a lot of flowers, huh?
You can say that again. One of the biggest orders I've had in a long time. Of course, I won't be able to enjoy any of the profits if I have to keep sending people their receipts.
What kind of margin is this business running?
How expensive is it to ship these receipts? Are they on stone slabs?
Who can take your credit card, not give you a receipt?
I mean, this is
Put
insane.
it in your butt and call it a tasty treat.
This is an
the flower man.
thing to say.
That's one of the best songs you've done so far, AJ.
That was good.
Thank you, Brian. I didn't even write that one down. That was all off the dome for you.
Yeah, that's right. Suck it, Leslie Bricuse and Anthony Newley. Eat my fucking shit.
This is we're in the shit now. No, Josiah, what did you think about this?
So was Whit earlier.
Flower business and its general operational strategy.
It doesn't seem like it seems like it's the drill tweet with like somebody who's good at the economy, please.
Yeah, it's candles.
It's like several $1 billion being sent on receipts. Like,
and this guy, they're like, oh, we'll bring the receipt to Whit, and he's like, oh, you know him? Okay, here's the here's my $1,500 receipt. If I have to print another one of these, I will go bankrupt.
Handing him stone tabs.
These were handed down to me on Mount Sinai. Yeah,
it was actually golden plates in upstate New York.
Right. Yeah,
that's another thing.
Someone who's really good at translating the angelic language.
Exactly. Oh my God, that's another thing that I did this past weekend. Was the day after I got done skiing.
Translated some golden slabs.
I translated some golden plates. No, I went.
Josh just started a new.
I went to the big LDS temple downtown,
okay,
and they have a museum. And one of the things that they had there was like a full-scale replica of the golden plates. And this very nice lady, this very nice docent was telling me, yeah, and they were just really this heavy. And it just makes me so impressed that Joseph Smith was able to carry these and run around without getting apprehended by the bandits who were trying to steal this golden plates from him. And I was like, yes, absolutely.
There were so many bandits out there.
Keep rolling with this train of thought. I think we're getting somewhere.
Joseph Smith invented the tower defense game, actually.
They pick up the 60-pound golden slab of receipts and
drag it all the way to
She ties a millstone around her neck and walks her way across the city.
And
she's got hot coals on her head.
Esther inspects the receipt, and the flowers are for Emma.
Emma Douglas of Connellsville.
Yes.
There we have a name now.
So now they need to continue to find out what Whit's up to. The next place they go is a haberdashery. Run by...
Well, they go to Whit's End, and the haberdasher is in a van in front of Whit's End.
What it is. That's what it is. And
just
the proprietor of this haberdashery is one Morty Moskowitz.
Why'd you stop? Because of this van parked in front of Whit's End, that's why.
Here it comes.
Moskowitz's haberdashery. What's a haberdashery?
It's a place where they make men's clothes. A tailor. Oh, someone's inside. Yoo-hoo, excuse me.
Well, if it isn't a little boy and a little girl. Hello there, little boy and little girl. Goodbye, little boy and little girl.
That's a good bet.
That is a good bet.
That's a good bet.
It kind of keeps going on, and it stops being funny and just starts being anti-Semitic.
Yeah. Phil Lawler figured out like the sort of basic cadence of like any sort of given Borscht Belt joke.
Yep.
and then does the same thing each time.
What's in it?
Look, I make clothes. What do you think is in the box? A sports car? He wanted some alterations made on his monkey suit.
Monkey suit? Why would Mr. Whitaker want to dress up like a monkey?
Such a nice boy. Not too smart, but nice. Okay. Monkey suit is
Very
another
mean to
name
this
for a
kid.
tux.
Yeah.
Tux? You mean a tuxedo?
You know of some other kind of suit called a tux?
Oh my God. Okay, one thing I do appreciate about this, it kind of lampshades the terrible exposition.
Yeah, it
because
does.
He's able to just be like, "That's a stupid question."
How close of this was to the release of An American Tail? Is my question.
Not far away from it. I mean, this was 1990. When did American Tail come out?
1986. So this would be a few years after American Tail.
And the AIO Wiki actually helpfully pointed out that Hal Smith and Will Ryan were both in An American Tail.
Oh wow!
As like prominent roles, or just
they
like extra
were
voices?
both sidekicks of the villain. So Hal Smith played the big fat cigar chewing slobbery rat, and Will Ryan was the little what is he, like a flea? Or like some kind of a bug, yeah.
Did this remind you of something specifically, AJ, in An American Tail?
Well, the last name being Moskowitz. Yeah. Their names in American Tail are Mouskowitz.
Oh, right.
And it does vaguely sound like they're doing an impression of the father. In that movie.
Sure. Yeah, and in addition, the name Morty has been used before for a Jewish character, for Morty Fishbein in Gifts from Imagine Guy.
That's right.
So they've got one note here. They've got like one wavelength that they keep hitting for modern day non-biblical Jewish people.
Yeah, I mean they do that. I mean it's funny because outside of sort of the evangelical circle, they basically just do that for pretty much any minority. Like the Irish are just in this, which we will obviously get to in the next episode. Yeah. But oh boy, that's like Orthodox Irish.
I don't know, like this whole fucking episode is just so many like jokes you can see coming a mile away.
Yeah.
Because that's
a Phil Lawler episode for you.
Phil Lawler special.
Dude, you guys have talked so much about Phil Lawler, and then like actually listening to this episode, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah. Can you hear the difference between him and McCusker, like in terms of the episodes that we listened to today?
Because I was listening to this one, and I was like having a crisis because I was like, was I just listening to this terrible fucking show? Right. It was never any entertainment value to this. It was just this miserable, and I was that dumb of a kid.
Right.
And then we got to Hold Up, which we'll get to in a second, and I was like, okay, yeah, no, there's some like entertainment value.
This is
here.
weird, but at least there's something here now.
There's a story with a plot.
Yeah.
I love inspiring crises in our guests.
That's what we're here for.
You guys are good at that.
Yeah. But yes, the fact that Whit is getting a tux or a monkey suit, they make so much hay out of this monkey suit thing.
Yeah, it's not a funny bit.
It's not funny. Nobody says that. I've never heard that before.
I mean, like it is a term that people use, but like in 1990?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that Phil Lawler, once you like start looking at his work through the lens of 1930s gangsters, like everything starts to make sense. That I think sometimes the wires get crossed for him, where he's like, I don't know if this person should talk like a human or a gangster from a movie.
Well, he's so informed by genre, isn't he? Like that's a big piece of it, and including Morty Moskowitz, because like that again is like the Borscht Belt genre, which is a genre he doesn't really understand.
This whole episode's based on an Andy Griffith episode, also, at least according to the wiki.
I actually took that note before I looked at the wiki page.
Yeah,
the episode Rumors, and it's Andy and the longtime love interest. I remember seeing this episode as a kid. And of course, with that, you have the anchor of Barney Fife kind of leading the whole charge, where he takes
which
the
makes
slightest...
it funnier, I think.
Yeah. A big part of the reason that there's no anchor here is that, well, first of all, we don't know who this lady is. This is the first time she's ever showed up. And secondly, we don't know who these kids are. Who are these children coming down? We don't know. And, Ben, I guess, the skeptic prone to malapropisms, decides that the tux stuff is enough to convince him. So, development. But Connie then is not quite sold on this, nor is Eugene, because they show up at wit's end to tell him about it.
Well, actually, Mr. Walton, we're still very unsure of our facts and therefore feel it prudent to forego any declarative stance until either the existing data can be thoroughly analyzed or we receive further, more conclusive proof in this matter, in my opinion.
I'll bet people have nightmares about you.
God, Bernard is such a godsend to this series, and I'm so excited for more Bernard. I've been told that there's going to be more Bernard in the future, and he just brings they know how to write for him in a way that I feel like they kind of struggle with a lot of the other side characters and how to make them funny. They know exactly who Bernard is. It's probably based on somebody that Phil Lawler knows.
Well, him and Eugene have like a good rapport, I feel like, because I think they've interacted in a couple other episodes that I remember from childhood, and those were always at least the gimmicks I thought was really funny when I was 10. So,
later this year, they're going to go on a road trip together.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
So
let's fucking go.
Whit shows up in tux, like fully dressed up at Whit's End.
In a monkey suit?
In a monkey suit. Bernard has washed his car for whatever the special event is. And he's going to come back from this event with someone very special. And that's what sells everyone. They're like, yep, he's definitely getting married. Do they ask him? No, but they're convinced.
Then they decide to set up an entire wedding reception. They get everyone in town. They get George Barkley. They get there's a nice little bit I couldn't quite clip because of all the other noise and music happening, but underneath it you can hear Eugene calling Officer Harley and saying, "Hey, it's Eugene Meltsner." No, I'm Eugene Meltsner.
That's your little Easter egg just for the heads.
A little badum-bum, especially because it's the same voice actor.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, they do a whole telephone hour here.
Dale Jacobs decides that he's going to write an entire front page story, even though he does not know who this broad is.
It's amazing.
Who are these broads coming down?
Incredible.
I think Lawler's infecting you, Brian. Are you a 1930s gangster?
Hey, look at this broad over there.
I would never call a dame a broad.
I see. Check out this city over here.
And so I'm sure at this point, Josiah, you were just like fully wrapped up in this compelling narrative. What's going to happen, right?
You know from the very beginning that this is not going to be.
Yeah.
There's nothing. So then there's nothing to be excited for. This entire episode.
You know they're supposed to be wrong from the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I pitch you on something that I think I would have wanted to happen?
Yeah.
They're all at the reception, right? They're waiting for Whit to come back. Well, Officer Harley walks in through the door, hat in hands, and says, "They found Whit's car at the bottom of the cliff."
Fuck off. These helicopters spun in. There were no survivors.
Oh,
yeah. Alternatively, it's Whit's Chappaquiddick moment.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's even better.
The whole town has to hide the body.
Oh, yeah, no,
that
very special lady. She's not going to be here. She, something came up.
From this point forward, Whit is just Kendall Roy from Succession.
Yes.
And you know what's really funny is that it wouldn't change Dale Jacobs' reaction.
No.
Right. Because Dale, of course, finds out there is no wedding. No one's getting married, but those papers are set to print. And so he shouts,
"Oh no, my story!"
I want to be buried with that clip. I want it put on my gravestone that every time you walk by.
Oh no, my story.
My epitaph has actually unfortunately already been claimed, which is, quote, "He asked a lot," unquote.
I think what we do is you have that epitaph, and then we also like put a big mouth Billy Bass on top of the gravestone.
Yes.
But when you walk past, it's been programmed to say,
"Oh no, my story!"
Coming to our merch store soon. A Billy Bass.
Perfect.
I'd like that on the wall over here, and just kind of occasionally.
The whole town has been assembled in Whit's End for this surprise wedding party, and it's a big misunderstanding. Everybody feels quite sheepish, but ultimately punishment must be meted out.
It takes a turn. Because like that's the thing is like this is why it's such a perfect like Andy Griffith type episode is that no one's doing anything bad here.
It's silly.
They just got carried away.
Yeah, everyone's too excited. Like even even she's like, "Oh, this doesn't bother me."
Yeah, we're all having fun. Whit is just like, "Oh, well, the Dale Jacobs has something to worry about. Everything else is fine." And then his voice gets very dark.
See, Esther? I told you wouldn't like us snooping around.
Quiet, Ben.
No, not quiet, Ben. You're absolutely right. No one likes a snoop.
My
blood runs cold.
This is like such a desperate attempt to like, you need to plug in a Bible verse with this. You need to find a way to moralize this. We're going to make this about gossip?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. And he takes it even further.
You see what can happen when you let your curiosity get the better of your common sense?
I know I have.
Well, I think you'll remember it a lot better while you're helping us clean this place up tomorrow.
Great.
I'm going to talk to your parents about it right after I call Dale Jacobs.
Wit is never going to pass up an opportunity for free child labor.
Absolutely. Free child labor is the bedrock of Wit's End and of Odyssey more broadly.
So what actually they should have inferred was that Wit was selling his wife's jewelry in a graveyard in the middle of the workday in order to raise money for an old folks home in a town he does not live in.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
If
you had some fucking logic, you'd know that too.
Yeah. And that not only that, but after that event, after that special reception, that he would be bringing her back for reasons.
Saying she was very special.
Yeah. No,
He doesn't actually mention why she's special, because there's actually something more to this. She was Wit's first employee.
What?
At Wit's End.
Wait, where did that?
It doesn't say it in this episode. This is important. The only reason we listen to this episode is because she shows up again later. But what I found out, where this backstory comes from, is from Paul McCusker's Adventures in Odyssey books.
Oh,
now there are books that have been written in like the last 15 years. These are not those books.
How do you even know this? How? Why?
Actually, these are on the wiki, so I can't claim that I did any like real research here.
You did not, in fact, read a book. Okay.
No, you know me. I don't read. I can't.
They're also about to be on my to-read list on Goodreads as well. That's where you can find them. So.
Well, like Josh, I think
what are the reviews like on Goodreads?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Josh, I do think that you should probably read these books since you read really fast. Because there is one where like a kid goes into the imagination station and ends up being a slave.
It comes out hamburger, just like that.
We're not going to get into the books on the show because, again, I refuse to learn how to read.
The first and only proudly illiterate podcast. The only other thing that we should note at the very end of this episode is that Wit notices Eugene talking to a girl at the counter, and he's like, "Oh, could it be?" That's how the episode ends.
No, that can't be. You can only get horny in a graveyard.
Because Wit would never jump to conclusions.
Never. Not once.
Never.
Did we want to talk at all about the Bob catching Chris's dumbass at the end of this episode?
So Bob is just like, I put that box in there to trap you.
That's right.
Which is like not a thing a friend does.
No, but it is something a daddy does.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and move on now to episode 169. Hold up!
Nice.
With an exclamation point. That's how it's pronounced.
What did you say?
Hold
what did you say? 169, Josh?
169.
I'm coming.
There we go. This is a Paul McCusker episode from October 1991. And this also has not a full-on Chris sketch, but a more involved Chris intro than normal. She lets us know that she's paging through a Bible and is going to read verses, so go get your Bible.
Well, it's one of those things that, like, it's canonical now that Chris is crafting the narrative of Odyssey, thus granting her, like, a godship in the world that I didn't necessarily clock before.
Yeah, she's a chaos deity. She's sort of the Wilson of Odyssey.
Right.
Yeah. She just stares at a giant map of Odyssey and she whispers, "More leaves."
And then you get the little Sunday in the Park with George chords. Yeah.
The upstairs is completely secured, Ms. Kendall.
Oh, thanks, Eugene. I've cleaned up down here except for, that man over there. He's making me nervous.
Pourquoi?
What?
That's French for why.
Why? I don't know.
Got him.
That's because I've never seen him before.
Yeah, so Connie's doing some racial profiling
against what sounds to be the whitest man imaginable.
She's doing woke racial profiling.
Right.
This is the future liberal. I see.
There's this white guy. He's gonna commit some crimes over here.
He's just chilling in the corner. This guy casually. I don't know. Seems normal. Should be normal.
He's apparently just been sitting there with a banana split for like an hour. So it's just soup at this point.
I suppose Mr. Whitaker will be finishing his speech at the college now.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm rather impressed that the psychology department asked him to speak to them. It's rare that they invite non-professionals.
Oh, what's a professional?
But he's not a psychologist. It's not his area of expertise.
Well, he knows more things about the way people are than your professors will ever find in a textbook.
Oh, my God.
Perhaps that's why they asked for this to get a layman's view on the nature of man. Is he basically good or basically evil? That's the question Mr. Whitaker has to answer in 20 minutes or less.
Well, I can do that in 20 seconds or less.
Yeah.
Man is basically evil.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Kendall.
I'm just telling you what the Bible says.
What fucking psychology conference is focused on whether man is inherently good or evil?
Here's the thing. Witt's
What?
actually going to go up there and give the speech, and then the professor, the actual professor, is going to be like, wow, I've had my entire worldview disproven. And he's going to go walk across a street, and he's going to get hit by a taxi.
car.
And then as
he's gonna get saved.
yeah.
He's gonna get saved at the last
As
second.
he
Michael
lies there,
Tate and the Duck Dynasty guys are going to run to his
in the
side.
street.
I clocked that this was God's Not Dead way too late. I genuinely thought all three of you were vamping up to the doctor was a woman joke, and I was like, we can't be going all in. So I get the pettiness of this, right?
Yeah.
I get how Dobson wants to pick that sort of
Dobson,
bone
who
with,
is a psychiatrist.
right. Look, going to acting school, obviously I will take any sort of opportunity to attack my professors at any point.
Yeah.
Because they're monsters and I'm still very bitter.
Yeah, right.
We all hate our own fields, I guess. Yeah, and this is just because we've had both this discussion of psychology before, right? The devious Dutchman, Regis Blackard, is himself a child psychologist. And Witt has done this bit before. We didn't listen to the original episode where he first said it, I don't think, but we listened to the episodes where Connie converts, which has a flashback to Witt walking through this, oh yeah, man is basically evil. At that time, he was owning Connie. Now Connie, a Christian, is owning Eugene.
Now, this is a very important point here because this is the Calvinist concept of total depravity. The idea that nature has made it, ever since Adam and Eve bit the fucking apple, it has been impossible for man to redeem himself from his inherent evil fallen nature. And Josiah, I know you had said that you had some thoughts about sort of this whole deal.
Well, yeah, I do. And we'll get into it more as the episode goes. But I'm not automatically dismissive of total depravity, but I think it's more, I think that you can have a more nuanced and interesting exploration of, our impulses can be tainted, et cetera,
Sure.
as opposed to where this starts to go, which is a really blunt force idea of criminality, which is what really gets
in tying criminality to morality also, right?
Yes.
Being these are the same thing. Performing a criminal act is inherently in and of itself always immoral. It's aligning the law with morality in such a sharp way.
Yeah, and the argument that Eugene makes here, right, is that social ill, crime, sin, if you will, is caused by extreme circumstances, right? People only do bad things because they're in bad situations,
right?
Which is sort of a simplified version of maybe some sort of Marxist take on this. Yeah.
If your only opinion about why people do bad things is that they're pushed into it by extraordinary circumstances every single time, that is so obviously demonstrably false that it doesn't even bear, discussing.
Yeah, because you'll meet a guy who's just an asshole.
Right.
Those people exist. And so it's easy if you're doing a fucking...
They teach acting.
If you do a straw man of this position, it's really easy. I don't know, because it feels like it's actually two different conversations happening at once, because a lot of more Christian leftist theology will see that whole, society is pushing everybody to do X and Y criminality or whatever, is the society is the thing that's corrupted. The society is the thing that's kind of totally depraved, and that's where this comes from, right?
Right.
And, and that's why, we all kind of end up culpable and mixed into this whole fucking machine. But so those are two separate things to me. Are humans inherently selfish? Yeah, sure. I'm fine with that. But that's not the same thing as we get to this fucking genetic take on where criminality comes from, which we'll get to that.
We might as well move on to that because we pretty quickly find out that, this weirdo guy, well, he's just straight up here to rob the place.
Well, man is basically good, but things happen to him that make him want to do bad things. Now, take myself, for example. Here I am, passing through this nice little town, and what do I discover? I'm short of cash. Now, look, I want to do the right thing. I want to find a job. I want to make an honest living. But that doesn't help the fact that I don't have any cash right now when I need it.
So, what have you decided to do?
Right. Well, first I take out this modest-sized gun here, and I tell you to put all the money in that cash register in this bag.
You know, he's not a particularly well-written character, but Charles Knox Robinson is really having a lot of fun with it.
He really rocks. This character's so good.
Yeah. Charles Knox Robinson is not like a recognizable name or face. He's somebody who did TV for most of his career, and he'd be that guy who just showed up in an episode of, you know, whatever.
And something that's kind of interesting to me here, too, about how he frames this up. We are supposed to understand, based on what he says, that this is a very clear counter-arg to Eugene's arg. Because Eugene, again, thinks that people are inherently altruistic and they'll only do a bad thing if they're pushed into a bad situation. He basically now, this guy, is making the exact same argument, but he's doing a bad thing. But here's the thing. He's framing up the arg in bad faith. He clearly doesn't actually believe this. And we're supposed to take it as, oh, these are his actual principles, I guess.
Yeah, but Josh, have you considered that some men just want to watch the world burn?
Yep.
There is sort of a certain greed element to it, but I think the thing that kind of holds this character back for me is that I never get a real sense of what he wants, really. Like, he gives a lot of like conflicting backstory about his motivations to the point where I'm just like, well, he is kind of the Joker.
He's just a bad guy. Right? He wants to steal this money, and like money at least is something you can grab onto that's like, oh yeah, a guy always needs money, right? But he just does this because he likes being bad, and we'll get a little bit more about that later. So Connie has flipped the silent alarm. Whit installed a silent alarm that is basically just a bat phone. Like, I imagine it's the only one in Odyssey, and the entire police department is like focused on it.
Okay, sweetheart, you're gonna be a bright girl, right?
What do you mean?
I'm gonna hide behind the counter with Brain Boy here.
That's me.
Everything's all right, and make him go away. You got it? You push the button by accident.
Okay.
Now look natural. Clean the counter or something.
But it's already clean.
Pretend. Boy, you two were made for each other, weren't you?
We're just friends, actually.
So at this point, the cop has not yet entered the building.
Yeah.
But the bad guy knows that he's going to. He knows that the silent alarm has been pressed, and so he's trying to set up a situation.
Classic scenario.
To basically be like, oh, no, everything's good, actually.
Yeah. So Connie, of course, you know, does the thing. Everything's fine. I'm doing fine. And then the cop asks for coffee, and Connie says very loudly, no, you know how much Whit hates coffee. And he says, okay, goes out to the car, and it's like, she said the code phrase that we've worked through at Whit's End when they hit the one silent alarm.
How many times does this happen?
Whit makes them do this training every week.
Think about Whit. Think about Whit and how he plans things.
And the paranoia of this mindset, too, though, right?
Let
If
someone get a hold of applesauce, AJ.
He's hiding Shodan in the attic, lest we forget.
And we won't.
It does speak like to the larger mindset of the evangelical movement. If everyone around you is evil and means you harm, of course you're going to be fucking paranoid at every fucking turn, especially when there's all these people coming in from out of town, these out of town grifters who are infiltrating our good hard America.
This goes so far beyond just a normal, like, because any retail store obviously is going to have loss prevention measures in place and some sort of a plan for if somebody tries to, you know, steal all the cash out of the register or whatever. Yeah. But this is so far beyond that.
There was a silent alarm system at my high school. Because lest people forget, I went to a K-12 Christian school that was originally a mission established in 1903. There were these tunnels under the whole like campus because there's a boiler in the old mission house that provides heat everywhere else. And so of course, like, we're high school kids, we're gonna go into the tunnels, right? We're gonna find the no door.
That's what tunnels are for.
Yeah. Going
and
into
we
that and dying when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons in them.
Yes.
And we there was one place we couldn't go, and it was under the garage where they, you know, like maintained the buses and everything. And that area, it just sort of looked like a brick wall that had been blown through. But if you walked past that, it would set off an alarm in the band teacher's house.
What?
I think it used to be, it's probably a few decades ago, it was like the superintendent's house, but then the band teacher lived there. But if you walked through that, there was just a fucking like flashing red light bulb and a huge bell that would start going off in his living room.
Yeah, and this is that, right? Like because this silent alarm has gone off, and because Connie has said the secret code phrase, Odyssey PD dispatches all the police.
Yeah, the fucking SWAT team rolls out, baby.
Meanwhile, we actually cut over to Whit, who's talking to this prof at the college, who's a little. Well, you know.
Rocks.
Yeah.
You know.
Mr. Whitaker, I can't thank you enough for speaking to our group tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Professor Ronan.
You know, I must confess I don't agree with anything that you said, but I did find it fascinating.
This is how professors
Imagine
talk.
believing that man is basically evil and only redeemed by faith. I haven't heard such thinking in years.
Well, unlike a lot of so-called psychological studies, I can only tell you what I've seen.
I don't know nothing about your fancy psychological studies.
What a person does and thinks is based on his heart, not his circumstances or environment. And according to the Bible, the heart is corrupt and wicked unless it's been changed by faith in Christ.
Oh, yes. I love it. How very archaic.
Oh, but no less true.
Yeah, people's hearts are just bad, and only Christ can fix them, which is why we're building all of these prisons.
That's right.
Yep.
It's also a very specifically Nazarene thing, the idea that like the heart itself is the thing that's transformed.
Yeah.
I just found that interesting.
Yeah,
Also,
that is,
Well, yeah, because Willem Dafoe pulled it out of his
That's right.
chest and showed it to
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah, he offered it promptly and sincerely.
And sincerely. Just also, this professor just fucking Charles Nelson Riley-ass performance.
I know.
Yeah, it's Chuck Bolte. It's the voice of George Barkley, just trying to do a professor voice. I named this clip "Wit and the Fag Professor."
A much less selling children's book series that Brian tried to start up.
This is really the like last few years of Adventures in Odyssey.
I did hear that HBO is going to adapt each one of those books actually into its own season of television. Go back to where it all began.
So yeah, I mean, what is this? Like, what's going on here?
I don't know, because I don't fucking feel like psychology spends that much time arguing about if people are inherently good or not.
It's not. That's the realm of philosophy. Psychology is not interested in that idea.
Yeah, and I'd say that psychology is interested in human nature, but it's interested in a very different set of questions about human nature.
Yeah, and like, because nature versus nurture is not the same as man is good or evil to me. Like, those are two different debates.
Yeah,
they're kind of related to the subject.
But that's the interesting thing is because once we especially get through the 70s into the 80s, right, and we have this massive wave of like violent crime, you have all of these people searching for explanations. And one of the big things that catches on in evangelical circles is Francis Schaeffer. And how shall we then live? And the stuff that he co-wrote with C. Everett Koop about abortion.
Right.
All of this is like trying to explain both like the horrifying atrocities of the Nazis through like state regimes, but also trying to explain like inner city black crime as like the same thing. Because people's hearts are just getting
issue,
worse.
Man.
Yeah, it's a heart condition.
Heart condition.
That's right. Yeah.
You just need a dead Denzel Washington to live inside you for a while.
That's right.
I thought we were gonna get tiniest Denzel Washington. That's
I know. It was funny. I saw the sea approaching, and I decided to pull up at the last minute.
Good for you, H.
But there's dolphins leaping outside the cockpit window. Let's be very clear. That was a close call. That was a very, very close call.
We're back at wit's end again.
Hold on. I do think it's very illuminating to hear the way the professor talks as sort of a window into how these people think that we sound. As as the intellectual elite, as sort of condescending, sort of full of himself. in Brian's words, effeminate.
That's what he said. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said.
Effeminate.
Yeah.
Effeminate.
There's a G in there somewhere, but yeah.
Yeah.
It really recalls also when we talked about This Present Darkness a while back too. Same exact dialogue, right? It's so, wow, look at how great and impressive we are. And to be fair, in academia, there is quite a bit of that.
Yes,
but
sure.
It's not.
Well, and it's there in Christian academia for
exactly,
sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the focus of it, they just miss it because they don't really know what it sounds like. So they create this really weird pastiche instead.
And they don't really want to engage with it either.
Right.
They don't want to like interrogate why they feel that's the tone that's being taken with them, or how they're interpreting that. It's just, outright dismissal of, well, these people will never get it because they're just so trapped up their own assholes.
It's the creation of a fantasy, like kind of a fantasy world, because even then, like the obsessions of people like Francis Schaeffer or whatever, they're always arguing against like not really what the culture's talking about. Like you can tell they're not actually that plugged into like what the discourse is.
Hold on, they are plugged in. I have the magazine.
Oh yeah, that's true. But like secular humanism was the thing they were raging against at this time. But like there was not really that much of that. Like there wasn't a lot of people walking around like, I'm a secular humanist.
It's like thinking that like the left is all guys on Twitter with globe emojis.
Exactly.
It's just like, no, it's just a weird niche group of perverts.
This is just one group, group of pedophiles. And it's not oh my God. No, but like, it's wokeness. It's like what we're talking about now, right? There's no fucking person who identifies as woke.
No, you're right. It maps over perfectly. It's like this is the woke professor, right?
Yeah.
And what we need to do is we need to defeat his wokeness. Wit needs to defeat wokeness.
That was the sequel. Wit and the Woke Professor.
All you need to do to defeat that wokeness is get some facts and logic and an entire police force on your side.
That's right. And also get robbed. That's also.
Because the burglar is not just content to, try to drain the register because there's not really anything in the register.
No, he has the safe.
He has the kids take him up to the safe.
A tragic, ichthus.
The safe that Connie doesn't know about? Connie, who has worked there longer than Eugene, has never been given access to the safe?
Also, who opens the safe? Who actually has the code? Do they say
Eugene does, yeah. Okay, so here's the clip of that.
What kind of guy is your boss that doesn't keep money in his safe? Insurance papers, deeds, letters.
Forged death certificate for Cherry.
An autographed picture of Andy Griffith?
He's a big fan.
Very big.
Andy Griffith, because he was
there's Andy Griffith from before.
Show.
Honestly, now it makes the previous episode higher in my esteem because it's now canonically like. Well, at no point. Wait a minute. No, wait. Hold on. So at no point did Wit say, this is just like the plot from the Andy Griffith Show.
No.
Yeah, he should have said
the lampshade a little bit.
So they're upstairs. They're in the office, which of course is right next to the computer room. And the Bible room is also sort of a kiddie corner with that. And where does the money go? They have to put the money away at the end of the night. Does Wit walk out with wads of cash to the ATM every single night like he's running some sort of Horace and Pete dive bar in Brooklyn with Alan Alda?
I bet, given Wit's sort of primacy in the town, I bet the bank has a truck that rolls up every night and takes a daily deposit from him.
It's a fucking armored vehicle.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
AJ, you doing okay? You doing okay with my Horace and Pete reference?
No, I'm not. I'm not. Because that implies that Wit is Louis C.K., which is not something I needed to imagine. Yeah. We already thought about him fucking in a graveyard. I don't need to see the other shit.
Oh, I have to go through all of your horse fucking jokes. But Wit, Wit jacking off every now and then. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
apparently it's a crime to imagine Wit jacking off.
The woke left can't handle Wit jacking off, huh?
Excuse me, I'm a college professor, and I don't think it's okay for you to have Wit jacking off, as it were. Jane/Owing.
He's doing it right now.
We get some additional exposition from the burglar. He needs to get back to his grandma in Utah, so burglar confirmed for Mormon.
She's 97 years old in Salt Lake City, because Mormonism is a demonic corruption of Christianity, of course.
So he just robs small stores along the way as he heads west to pay
also the plot of The Last of Us.
And Eugene actually has this sort of, this confirms his priors, right?
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, if it weren't for the fact that he, needs to help out his grandmother, if he were not forced into this situation by his economic circumstances, he wouldn't be doing this, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He's the John Dillinger of the 90s.
Yeah.
So this safe is also behind a painting of a safe, which I think tells us a lot about how much of a dullard Whit actually is. Like, they don't let you in that much. He's like, oh, he's the big smart encyclopedia guy. And he's like, I have a safe and I need to hide it. Let's put it behind a painting of a safe.
They'll never expect it, Brian.
That's right. Then on that Whit is a dullard front, they're outside Whit's End. He's out there with the cops and he's looking in and he sees the light is on in his office and he's like, I wonder what people are doing up there. Where my safe is.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, I'm being robbed. That's where my safe is.
Officer Orion, our friendly neighborhood Mick cop.
Yeah.
Are basically.
Oh boy, is he.
Yeah. Oh man. They come up with a plan to infiltrate Whit's End.
I only wish we had a way to sneak in. Well, actually, there is another way in. Oh, is there now? Yeah, a tunnel. It runs from my workroom in the basement to a secret entrance in the woods out back. You and I both should go in.
Bagels and Blarney Stones. Are you off your nut? I can't let you do a thing like that.
Look, nobody knows Whit's End like I do. We can use the tunnel and the old servant staircase to get to my secret computer room.
Computer room? What are you thinking, Whit?
We're showing
it's a computer.
Know the place, Whit's End could be downright scary. Maybe that's the way to get him out.
I like this music in the background that kind of sounds like it's from Harvester.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But
Irish.
I believe,
it's so good.
AJ,
Yeah.
Is this the first time you've heard of the secret tunnels? Maybe I've brought it up, but I don't think we've heard it in the episodes, right?
Nope. Nope. That was just something I inferred.
Yeah, plant a flag in your brain. These are going to come back into play later on.
This is another one of those
Justice
things.
lived rent-free in my brain for 2 years.
This is
Thank you
another
very
thing
much.
that AJ just determined that there were secret tunnels, and sure enough, there are secret tunnels that go out into the woods. They go very far away from Wit's End, and they lead to a secret staircase that goes straight up to the second floor.
Right.
I'm just so happy. You know, I just sometimes this show just gives me such gifts, such bountiful presents.
How far out is what you're setting up? Because I know like the last few episodes you're on like a trajectory towards something. How far is this at this point?
The tunnels, it's still going to be a few months.
Yeah,
and then,
miles
of course,
to go before we sleep.
Yeah, the big climax as to the real importance of Wit's basement won't be until the beginning of next year.
Oh my God.
But you know Darkness Before Dawn, Josiah, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So everybody keep listening.
Yeah.
Look, we all know about Darkness Before Dawn, okay? Everyone here knows all about that.
It's so fun just isolating you right now, AJ, and watching you suffer.
Usually I have to go to a cemetery to get this level of excited,
So,
the horse cemetery?
The horse cemetery. The glue factory.
So, Whit and Officer Orion go into the secret tunnel. In the other police, the backup, they're under strict orders not to go in.
Yeah, because Whit,
even if they hear gunshots.
Whit is fucking alternate timeline Biff Tannen. Kid, I own the police.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
it's going full Rambo here.
Right, can you play the little music cue there too?
We got a great music cue.
Oh yes.
And now back to the adventure.
So continuing our tradition of children being bound, the bad guy ties Eugene and Connie up with a telephone cord?
Yeah, which is the same. I think that's the same tactic the other guy who met his demise in the cave outside of Tom Riley's property also used on them.
Also phone cord. Oh,
he
God.
tied him up with the phone cord as well. You'd
really
think that after that would have learned the lesson and gotten a shorter phone cord, but no.
All right, babes. Like, we need to be clear on this. Do not use cords. Don't use phone cords. Don't use audio cables. You want to have something
dangerous.
that has a little bit of squish to it. You don't want to be cutting off circulation.
But Eugene tries to appeal to the burglar's better nature.
Just remember, sir, you can always overcome these circumstances to lead a healthy, productive life.
Yeah, that's what my probation officer said right before I lifted his wallet. Oh, and you should know that I lied to you.
Right.
Yeah.
About what? My grandmother. She isn't sick.
Fucking
She's in the
owned.
Utah State Penitentiary serving 10 years for armed robbery.
His grandma did armed robbery at the youngest at the age of 87, which is fucking cool as shit.
Yeah, fuck
Free
yeah.
her.
Facts and logic.
At that point, just give her the money. Yeah.
Facts and logic can't save you now, Eugene. Some people just suck ass.
Some people just suck because their parents also were criminals, and their grandparents. They have a sort of inherited predilection towards criminality. Some people do.
Right.
I will say I also heard this line as Tim Robinson saying, she's not even sick. Like there's something that this performance would be improved so much if it was Tim Robinson trying to rob wits end.
And that's not circumstances, right? Having parents and grandparents constantly cycling in and out of the system. Yeah, that doesn't leave any weird scars on you that's going to lead to bad behavior as an adult.
Yeah. No. It's all to do with genetics, and also I'm assuming it's to do. I'm assuming it's also to do with the teachings of Joseph Smith, if we're being real. But Josiah, I think this was
American Moses.
You wanted to talk a little bit more here as well, sort of about like what this episode is actually saying versus what it claims to be saying.
Yeah, I think we need it's worth unpacking a little bit because this isn't really about total depravity anymore.
Right.
No,
with this suggestion,
this is some guys are actually worse than you. Like some people are bad, and then some people are really bad.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because total depravity also kind of implies oh wow, there's some fucked up shit in me and also in you, right? In theory, it would be kind of a leveling thing, but that is not focused on the family's interest. And don't get me wrong, there's problems with even that kind of leveling thing as well, but that's still a much more equal playing field kind of thing than the focus on the family mentality, which is you're a good white Christian and there are things out there that want to fucking kill you. And this has been the paranoia, this episode's from the 90s, but it's still what fucking, evangelical conservatives push now.
Yeah.
After the fucking, the Nashville shooting, there was the big rise of evangelicals saying trans people are going to come and they're going to shoot up our churches. We need to arm ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
We need to have guns in churches. So it's not benign to kind of be suggesting that this is how it works. Criminality, wokeness, or as they would call secular humanism. It all goes together. It's out there in its own kind of world outside of evangelicalism, and it's going to invade.
Well, and I think too, the point that you make about in the wake of Nashville and these trans people who are going to come in, that's also some sort of a perversion. That's something that lives in your heart. That's fundamentally evil in the same way that total depravity makes all of us evil, except for us. Obviously, we're the good ones actually, because we've been cleansed of that evil thanks to the blood of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. It's just it leads you to such sickening places because it causes you to perceive these people as not being people, honestly.
Yeah, this guy is subhuman. There is no redemption to be offered to him, which is against what Wit is saying, that anyone's heart can simply be changed.
Yeah, I mean, the moment that he shows a shred of humanity, it turns out that he's just fucking lying. He's a sociopath.
Yeah. So then Wit has a really fun idea where he just decides to do that Barry monologue.
Do you know where she lives?
I don't know. What, were you gonna send her an angry letter or something?
No, nothing like that. I'm just gonna freak her out a little bit.
Freak her out how?
Oh, there's a lot of ways. It's, for instance, I could send her a picture of herself sleeping, just as a way of being hey, not cool what you did to Sally, The whole point is to isolate her and make her feel like she's going insane. So I would just do little things, replace her dog with a slightly different dog, or, change the furniture in her house so she thinks she's shrinking, basic stuff. Most of it I learned in the military. Some of it on a subreddit.
The guy escapes over to the Bible room, which is already the scariest room in the place, aside from the room of consequence, I guess.
How big is this room?
Big
the
enough.
Bible room? In the board game, it's really not large at all. Everything's just kind of stuffed in there.
This sounds like a cavern.
I was going to say,
it sounds like a Costco that they've walked into.
I'm just picturing that sequence from the Thrill Zone in Coney Island from Max Payne 2, right?
Yeah.
Like that.
The whole time, this thief is walking around diving in bullet time. He's like, there's a hole behind me. And there's a hole inside of that hole that has a hole behind it.
This would also, to be honest, this also explains why he had so few bullets available.
Good. He's headed for the Bible room. Now that we've introduced ourselves with a few sound effects, just to test our friend's nerve, let's see if we can get him to empty his gun.
There's 6 bullets in that chamber if it's fully loaded. What do you mean empty his gun? He left the 2 youngsters in your office. Now that he's alone, I think we should call the boys in.
No, not yet.
Whit fucking smells blood.
Yes. Sicko mode.
We have to wait for the right moment.
And so here are the displays starting to go nuts on him.
Yeah.
The exit should just be straight ahead if I can feel my way along.
Hello. Welcome to the Bible room, a place of fun and excitement.
What? Who's that?
Oh, God.
Don't try anything funny.
Just
I have a
Five
gun.
Nights in Freddy's, this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, God, not fun and excitement.
And we know that in God.
Not in the Bible.
Gotcha.
Congratulations. You just shot our talking mirror.
What? Is that you, girlie?
This is just the end of The Man with the Golden
Come
Gun.
on here where I can see you.
You gotta be kidding.
Am I Goliath, a dog?
Oh, fuck.
And that was the David and Goliath display.
Brain boy. What kind of game are you playing? Show your face.
We have other displays for your enjoyment and instruction.
There's the Wall of Jericho.
And the Elijah display.
What else?
This is some kind of loony bin.
Actually, that was Tiny the elephant, part of the Noah's Ark display.
I know what you're trying to do.
They're just taunting
You're trying
him.
to get me to crack. Well, I won't do it. I won't.
Did I make this? Well, okay, is it just me or does Tiny the Elephant sound like it's in great pain? Like, that scream was like a human scream? What the fuck is happening in this exhibit?
He gets down to his last round, and it's Whit. He's right there, but no, it isn't actually Whit.
It's a Pepper's
a
Ghost
life-size
or something.
television. I don't know. They're doing the Looking Glass from Prey.
There's
right?
a large table, and Christopher Walken and Robert De Niro are sitting there, and he sits down. They put the gun on the table, and they make him spin the gun around a couple times.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's out of bullets, and the cops descend.
Yeah,
and
he has no more
apprehend the
bullets in his
burglar.
pockets or anything.
Right.
It's just, oh yeah, the gun's empty now. We're good.
This sequence is fucking buck wild.
I'll admit I had some fun listening to it, though.
No, it's like a good horror sequence.
It's a fun episode.
Yeah.
I do.
That's why you remember it from your childhood, I imagine. It's a fun ride.
It's wormed its way because it is a pretty good, the horrible shit we talked about aside, it is a pretty fun episode.
So just to, I guess, wrap this episode up then, Connie talks to Whit and is like, Whit, what the fuck, dude? Like,
Did you see how scared he was?
Well, that was the idea.
Yeah, but I never would have believed it. You took something as fun as Wit's End and turned it into some kind of haunted house.
I didn't. It was just like we tell the kids. They'll get out of it what they put in.
Whit, you don't have the kids walking around in darkness while a monkey just starts screaming
I
at
like
them.
that he starts talking about it like it's the zone.
Yeah.
Also, that's crossover, baby.
Also, that's not true. Like, he engineered all of this to torment him in a very specific way. This has nothing to do with what he brought in, other than, I guess, criminal intent. But, like, come on.
Look, personally, I don't like it when Whit addresses me directly.
Yeah, you were walking up to Whit's End and then you heard me say stop and then you were like, why did you tell me to stop? And then I say, I didn't tell you to stop.
Yeah. But yeah.
Let's see, how many soccer references can we stick in this? Let's go.
I took a BuzzFeed quiz. I'm the professor.
Yeah, I'm the writer. I'm a piece of shit.
I'm the bird that disappears.
So that wraps up this episode. Hold up. You guys are doing great right now.
We just discovered sin. We discovered everyone's really bad.
That's right.
And if you don't have a really tight leash, if you don't beat your children and send people to jail, everything will just continue to get worse.
That's right.
And that's why our country's so much better now.
Well, did you look up these Bible verses though? Like Chris wanted you to do?
Fucking funny.
It's mostly, so again, this is like a context thing, right?
Yeah.
These are quotes from the prophets who at the time were talking about the fact that like shit's fucked and you know, people are being assholes to God's chosen people. And that also the people who are within the kingdom have turned away from God as well.
Yeah.
This isn't talking about the Christian idea of total depravity because these are mostly Old Testament verses.
Only one of them is that it's because they have the classic Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. But like Ecclesiastes and Jeremiah, like those are out of context, and also I think they have a much more complicated understanding of evil, even suggested in them.
Yes.
The Jeremiah passage is, the heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it? Like that's a really interesting. That's more complicated than just, oh yeah, I'm just a criminal because I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah,
right.
It's like, oh, my own desires get complicated and misled and conflicting and deceived by them. You know, there's something there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
But
and
that's
it's
a
also
much...
like, yes, I've also had depression. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And Jeremiah was just kind of a fucked up dude in general. Like, that
Jeremiah
was kind of
has
his whole
whole
deal.
chapters that are
He
like,
just like me for real.
where he's just like, is there even a God? And if there is, where is he?
But that's a much more Jewish understanding of the question of evil, and it's something that just gets completely flattened by most forms of Christianity.
And speaking of flattening,
Eugene's gonna get some of his shit flattened pretty soon.
That's right.
Because
let's go.
The working title for this episode was Eugene Gets Laid and also Eugene Fucking Fucks.
I like both of them. Yeah.
And when we get back, Eugene's gonna get his shit sucked on for a while.
Let's go. Oh, yeah, let's go.
Hey everybody, AJ here. Has this ever happened to you? You look at your underwear drawer and you just don't know what to do?
My name is Ben. I am 8 years old. Mr. Whitaker told me and Esther's parents that we needed to be punished, for making assumptions. We thought we'd be working for Mr. Whitaker, mopping floors and stuff, but when we got to wit's end, he told us he had something else for us in mind. What did he call it? Oh yeah, a special project, just for me and Esther. And we said, golly, And he took us to a red door at the back of the store that I didn't ever remember seeing there before. So I asked Mr. Whitaker, I said, where'd that door come from? And Mr. Whitaker, he looked at me and he said, only the chosen few can see that door, Benjamin. And then he took us down here. It kind of looks like a hospital, but all the doors lock up tight and there aren't any windows and we aren't allowed to see our parents. Mr. Whitaker told us he'd talk to them and they said it was all right. He put Esther in the room next to me. I hear her crying sometimes through the wall, but I tell her it's going to be all right. Mr. Whitaker loves us. He wouldn't... Esther is very sick. Mr. Whitaker keeps taking her out of her cell to give her medicine, but I don't think it's making her any better. I can hear her crying through the wall, but the last couple days it started to sound like laughing and barking like a dog, but louder and scarier. Mr. Whitaker says not to worry. He brought me a stuffed animal, an elephant. I named him Tiny. Mr. Whitaker says that I'm going to start my treatment soon, but I just want to see my mom. I just want to go home. Why won't he let me go? Mr. Whitaker said the pain would stop, but it's only gotten worse. Esther? Where are you, Esther? I think something's wrong. I think something's wrong. My nose. Why is my nose?
My name is Tiny, the elephant. I teach little boys and girls how to be good, and to know right from wrong. If I do that, Mr. Whitaker says, none of them will ever, ever, ever end up like me.
So use the discount code OOPSALLUNDIES to get your first free month of other people's underwear delivered right to your door. Their undies. Now their secrets are your secrets.
So we're back. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Josiah, when you were a kid, was there any other, aside from Adventures in Odyssey, like what was your favorite or most memorable piece of like evangelical entertainment media?
Oh, God. Okay,
yeah, let's go. Let's open the wounds.
This one I think will date me as being a little younger than you guys, but
sure.
I think this would be good content for you guys to drift into at some point.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, boy.
Have you guys ever heard of Jonathan Park?
No.
So this was
oh no, I know that laugh. That's the laugh that I do when I'm about to tell AJ something.
It's true.
So this was a good old like audio radio drama, just like Adventures in Odyssey, but it was centered around creationism.
Ooh.
It was
fuck yeah,
a bunch of kid archaeologists, going on adventures and proving that evolution is wrong.
Jonathan Park audio adventures are movies for your ears. This is radio drama.
It's an audio drama, just like Adventures in Odyssey.
Oh shit.
Oh no.
God, is it April Fool's Day again already?
Oh my God.
I listened to a bunch of these growing up.
Oh, these rock.
It's hard to like think of specific stuff that lives because it's more like it was the air you were breathing when you grew up with this stuff. It just was the entertainment. But yeah, like I don't know. I think a lot of like cultural reference points I had until like honestly till like adulthood come from like ways in which Adventures in Odyssey or Jonathan Parker, a lot of these were parodying shit. Like that's how I know too many tropes. It's kind of like when people don't know any, like people only know references because of The Simpsons.
Yes,
The Simpsons
that was my upbringing. Yeah,
right. Which I also had Simpsons because my dad was weird and not like super strict. So like I had Simpsons and Adventures in Odyssey, which is a weird way to grow up. But
whoa, yeah,
just a lot of Pamela Hayden.
Was there ever a point where you were like, these things seem similar?
No, I never related Adventures in Odyssey and Simpsons until you guys started pointing that out.
We're about to meet a brand new character in Adventures in Odyssey whose voice you will probably recognize.
Yes.
The episode that we're going to be starting with in the second half is called Truth, Trivia, and Trina. It's episode 254, so we're jumping forward all the way now to January of 1994. This is a Paul McCusker episode. Really, these two episodes that we're listening to in the second half, it's not technically a two-parter, but it kind of feels like one, honestly.
Yeah, kind of is.
They're kind of like 3 or 4 episodes apart, but like the second one picks up right where the first one left off.
Yeah.
And this first episode begins with Connie and Eugene squabbling as per usual. And
they're really getting into it.
They are so like, given that we were just listening to something from like 1990, it's so incredible to me how they were able to like, over the course of the years, dial into the voices of these characters and how the voice actors were able to then lean into that and their natural chemistry with each other to make something that honestly just sounds really compelling.
No, the dynamic also makes me think of The Color Wheel, the Alex Ross Perry movie, which is one of the only decent movies to come out of like the mumblecore movement, in my opinion.
Okay.
Wow. Shots fucking fired. Jesus.
You know what? The puffy chair has a couple words that it wants to take you into a corner.
And into the squabble comes Bart Rathbone, our favorite ethnically questionable shopkeeper.
I'm going to say we have a point against him being Jewish this time because his name is not Morty. And apparently every Jewish guy is named Morty.
Right. Bart's got a pitch for a new thing he's working on.
He's got a new idea.
I'm looking for contestants for my new game show.
A game show, Mr. Rathbone?
Yeah, and it's for television. Television. It'll be on Channel 3. I'm calling it Truth and Trivia, brought to you by Rathbone's Palace.
Sure enough.
Bart's got a new scheme.
He's diversifying. He's going into local television. He's going to be a UHF pioneer here.
Yes.
I just want to point out that he pronounces his name Rathbone.
He does.
Which I thought was very interesting. So have we been mispronouncing it the whole time, or is it just
his pronunciation depends on the day.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. When they have their commercial for Rathbone's Electric Palace, the song goes Rathbone. So
I can't believe you have that in your head.
Fucking encyclopedic knowledge.
It's fucking disgusting. There's reasons I have problems with my brain in my 30s.
Hey, me too. It happens to do with skiing
Josh, you
a little
had
bit too hard.
TBI. I gave myself a soft TBI with hundreds of episodes of Adventures in Odyssey.
Yeah, but I did that too. I did that too. So, pretty quickly it becomes clear that Connie and Eugene are ideal contestants for this show because they already love to compete, and their knowledge base of trivia is a little bit discreet.
Yeah, Connie knows a lot about Frank Capra movies.
And Eugene knows a fuckload about birds.
Name one international bird that is known to bark like a dog. Do you know?
Well, who wouldn't know? The Senegal finfoot.
You're kidding.
Or would you rather I mention the New Caledonian Kagon?
Huh?
Yeah,
well, either one is right according to the book.
I also really like that little touch that Bart just has this one book. And he's like, well, it says that in the book.
This is one of the things that's kind of fun about how Bart is written as a character, is that he always is just like a bare minimum effort kind of guy. And again, this is something that they managed to flesh out more over time. And it then makes him be less of a caricature and more of like no, he's just the kind of guy who like wants to try to do something, but doesn't really care enough to do it right. And so that's
he's a local entrepreneur.
Okay.
He's your local small business owner who's always coming up with a new scheme. He's Tom, and Tom goes to the mayor.
Yeah, like this is totally like a type of guy. Like if you grew up in the Midwest, like you always meet the guy who's like he's selling cars now.
Yeah, and these guys are and now in 2022, it's not 2022 anymore. In 2023,
Josh, what year is it? Who is the president?
He would be on TikTok selling his like financial planning course, right?
Yeah.
Like it's that
he would
thing.
also be trying to like mail people a sauce. He would definitely have a sauce.
He would be like this like strange Facebook ads that's like, do you want to know how to talk to women?
Pretty quickly, Connie and Eugene agree to participate because as long as they're competing, they're going to have fun.
Yeah, Eugene like briefly declines, but then Connie is like, well, I'm going to do it, so you have to do it.
Yeah, she needles him into it, right?
Yeah.
But Eugene also has some other stuff on his mind because he wants to go and actually study so that he can fill in the knowledge gap that he currently lacks.
Yeah. And we get another fun little music cue.
Oh, hell yeah.
The note I wrote here is truth and trivia is a fuck palace, baby.
Yeah. The music feels a little bit Yakuza, doesn't it?
Yeah. Part-time trivia studio, part-time love hotel.
Yep. Eugene, in trying to get some new materials from the college library, meets someone interesting.
I'm Katrina Shanks, by the way.
A pleasure to meet you, Miss Shanks. I am Eugene Meltsner.
I've heard of you. You're assistant to Professor Wolcott in the computer science department.
I am indeed. Are you studying computer science?
Not as my major, but I am interested in it. I'm getting my degree in English.
Was that why you're working here in the library?
No, I only work here because I need the money for tuition.
So this goes on, and Eugene asks her about a book that could help him on pop culture. A book called My Soul. And she says this in response.
I kind of traded your soul to the guy at the comic book store. But look, I got some cool pogs. Elf pogs. You remember Elf? He's back in pod form.
Yeah, because that's the voice of Katrina.
Yep.
That's Pamela Hayden.
Yep.
Who
That's right.
is the legendary voice actor behind Milhouse Van Houten.
How
for
did
the
I
last,
miss
like,
this?
35 years now.
I like even clicked like the Adventures in Odyssey wiki on Katrina Shanks and just did not register that name. Holy shit.
Well, Katrina as written here, and again, this is the way it often works with Odyssey, is like the characters are very broad and they figure it out as they go along, which is honestly kind of how writing works in general. But like Katrina's whole thing is that she really is Eugene's intellectual equal, which is something that's very rare for him, right? Right. He's a real smarty pants. It also turns out that she transferred to Campbell County Community College from, it's implied, the University of Chicago?
Why would you do that?
I mean, you could, because she talks about like her trouble with tuition, right? She's working at the library because that's her way of paying tuition, right? It's going to be cheaper to go to Campbell County. However, she's not from Ohio. She's not from Campbell County. She doesn't get any of the benefits of going to your local community college. She is from Chicago.
Yeah, why would she not just go to the University of Illinois? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
It's big cities. It's big cities.
Big cities.
Urbana-Champaign is not a big city.
You know why she left Chicago? It was all the predatory wasps.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she just really also wanted to avoid the Big Ten, which was how she ended up in this weird-ass little college in the middle of nowhere.
You see, I transferred here from Chicago, and I'm used to a better selection of books. For example, Hallison's Guide to Popular Culture is excellent, but we don't have it.
You're familiar with Hallison? He's one of my favorite authors.
Really?
Eugene
he was
comes
a guest
right
lecturer
now.
in classes in Chicago. He autographed one of my books.
He must have been fascinating to hear.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed.
Well.
They're horny.
Well,
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Oh my God! I don't wish to be
Rock
presumptuous,
hard.
but I would enjoy seeing your autographed book one day.
Oh, well, I could.
If you know what I mean.
Or we could have a meal together and discuss it further.
I love eating out.
Perhaps we could.
Perhaps.
I've been watching through like Criterion's Correct collection of like erotic thrillers.
Uh-huh.
Same vibe.
Yeah.
Same vibe. Like, two people that just want to fuck so bad.
And I do wonder how much, because it is an interesting choice sort of to pursue the romantic life of a character on a kid's show like this explicitly, because it's a show for like younger kids too,
Right.
who would maybe find this gross in a way, like Eugene's gonna finally get the cooties. So honestly, credit where credit's due to the show. Like, at least they're exploring that aspect of his life in an interesting way.
And it's not inherently like judgmental about it. Like,
No.
'cause
Right.
in past episodes, I think you guys have even covered, it's usually been like, I don't know, dating somebody is like you better guard your heart.
Yeah, the episode with Connie's gay boyfriend. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Wit and the Gay Boyfriend is the third book in the series.
Yeah, it's just Wit and the Fag blank. Just professor, boyfriend, car. My mother, the fag car. Yeah.
Oh man.
So Katrina's like, yeah, maybe we can make this happen, right? She's holding it in. Connie then continues her side of the studies for the quiz show. She's studying U.S. history. And Eugene is starting to skip out on work early so he can meet up with Katrina. He actually talks to Wit about it, try to get permission. They've already had 2 meals together. So Wit releases him from work. You have to check in with Wit first, obviously.
Wit's also being like super condescending to Connie. I didn't clip this, I don't think.
Yeah.
But like when they're running through the trivia, it's always so suspect that Connie ever wants to do fucking anything at all in her life. He's like, why are you doing this competitive trivia thing? And it's like, because it's fun? Fuck you, shut up.
And this goes back to all the stuff about like, why does he trust Eugene so much more when Kanye is a much longer tenured employee who has actually had to deal with more shit running the shop than Eugene has.
And even following the show's logic, she's the Christian one.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
Why? In theory, that should be the one you trust, and Eugene, well, he's evil.
Right.
I mean, it's the accidental revealing of the sexism sort of at the heart of the evangelicalism.
Right? Her womanhood is so inherently sinful.
It is better for an atheist man to be in charge here.
I did write down, if Eugene asks Wit for a condom, I will forgive the show everything.
Oh, that would have been great. Oh my God.
So yeah, Eugene
and he goes, well,
Katrina,
Eugene, you can't have safe sex. And he projects like, this is what a condom looks like under a microscope. See, it's like a grid. It's like a lattice work. You don't think that an STD
Station
can
adventure
make
where
it
he
through
shrinks
there?
down to the size of a
sperm.
A sperm. And makes his way through a hole in a latex condom. God.
I mean, we're all laughing here, but I'm sensing dollar signs, man. I think we gotta.
So yeah, Eugene goes on his date.
This statue is interesting because they utilized a new process while casting the bronze.
I know. I read about it in the college history.
Oh, I actually helped prepare that history of the college, you know.
Eugene?
Yes, Katrina?
You don't have to impress me.
I beg your pardon?
You don't have to impress me. That's it, isn't it? Every spare moment you either pass on a bit of information or tell me something you accomplished.
This is pretty good.
Unfortunately, I love this.
And Eugene actually takes this a step further because he's like, this isn't just me impressing you.
It's how I am. Rather, it's who I am. I suppose I've always felt that without the knowledge, the facts, the statistics, the information, I'm a nobody.
I think that's so sad. Though my guess is that the people who care about you the most care about you in spite of what you know.
I've never considered it before.
This is like pretty good for children.
It's an oddly mature piece of writing, isn't it?
As a guy who has become a podcaster, this feels very real to my lived experience.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah. Like, I really resonated with Eugene in this app because I've done the same thing with every past romantic partner as well. I yap and yap and yap and just dump information because that's like what I fucking do.
Yeah.
You know, like I totally get Eugene here. And I do get like the way it kind of guts him when she's like, I like you even if you don't know shit.
And he values it highly, and he does like have kind of a fundamental disrespect of people that he doesn't see as on his level.
Yep.
Which is why this relationship with Katrina is so important, and which is why this relationship with Connie is so important, because she's genuinely upset about the way that Eugene treats her. And here he is like realizing he doesn't have anything else.
The implied thing here is not so much, Eugene, you need to become better rounded and develop your character. For people listening, they're going to be thinking, Eugene, you need Jesus. That's the thing that you're missing.
Yeah, that's true.
And
that's also true.
And I sort of was like, because Katrina also, by the way, is not a Christian. But even so, it's about like what you are primed to, how you are primed to receive information and what you are expected to do with it when you hear it. And I feel like, Josiah, you certainly can resonate with that experience.
I was like, oh my God, is this going to be the episode that Eugene becomes Christian? Like, I was like, are they going to bring me on for that? And then I was like, oh no, it's just, he just gets horny.
But you could see that being a resolution to this episode, couldn't you? Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. This episode could have ended with him getting converted, and the next one could have also ended that way as well, I think, to some extent.
Yeah, this is very unlike Down Gilead Lane. They're still willing to give Eugene quite a lot of time from this point out.
Yeah.
To still wait for him to make his conversion.
Which is more truthful to life too, right? These are life decisions that people don't like come to very quickly. Like it does take a lot of time if you're going to like make that big a life change.
And I will say like because this like your evolution of your faith is always going to be a really personal thing that takes like time. And I do like that the show lets that just sit for a while.
Yeah.
They could have very easily just had a bunch of people really nag Eugene. I was raised evangelical, right? I had like a few years of agnosticism before I returned to the Episcopal Church.
How many souls did you save, Josiah?
And
what's your body count?
What's your body count?
I don't know if I could say any. To be fully honest,
how many notches in that pew do you have?
No, that's Catholicism.
That's
Catholicism.
Right. Yes.
We had
How
pews.
many friends did you send
Baptists
through
have
confirmations?
pews.
Yeah, I know, but that's what priests would use anyway.
Yeah, I know it sucks. Let's pull ourselves back into the world of Odyssey, shall we? Unless there was something else you want to say.
Where there are
Josiah,
no Catholics around.
It's just a slow process, and and I had friends I lost during that like agnostic period of my life because they did this fucking shit. They like tried to be like, well, we want you back and let's go. And like, that's just not how this shit works, you know?
Well, yeah, now we find ourselves at the local TV station. Bart, I just love this little touch here about the sign that Bart made.
Yes.
Hey, that's a nice sign, Bart. Rathbone's Palace presents Truth and Trivia.
Yeah, Rodney and I were up all night cutting out the cardboard, gluing the red sparkles on.
Like, I'm just picturing...
so sweet.
I'm just picturing the set to Check It Out with Dr. Steve Brule.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And, like, the Rathbones are so weirdly wholesome.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
You know what it really reminds me of is check out Banner, Michael.
Yeah.
Like it has this sort of like this wholly unearned pride in this horrible thing.
And you can just picture it in your head, can't you? Because a big piece of it too is the way that they've done the sound design here. You can hear the buzzing of the work lights overhead. It's just so sharply realized.
Yeah, McCusker's really, really good at getting you in just a couple of words to like fully get this image in your head of what you're supposed to be seeing, which is something that is very difficult in audio drama, right? That is not a skill that comes easy. And so for credit where credit's due, I see that shitty ass sign that will probably catch fire if it gets too close to one of the lights.
Yeah, we hear that like the room is so small, they only would have been able to fit like 4 people in there.
Right.
And so they've just decided to go with pre-taped laugh tracks and applause. Yeah.
You have some experience working television cameras and stuff, right?
A little, but...
Good. Then you could be the cameraman. The guy who was supposed to do it had a dentist appointment.
But,
do us a favor, huh? Good guy. Oh, and just kind of wave your arms when you're ready to start.
I do really love Wit getting fucking railroaded here.
It's great.
That's a great
More
touch.
of this,
so nice.
please.
Oh, please.
I
Delightful.
do also need to make a note that this is the very last scene that Walker Edmiston and Hal Smith ever recorded together.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Oh.
Because, we are coming up on it. they did some episodes together, but like Tom Riley and Whit were not in a scene together, and Bart and Whit and whoever else, like this was their last like exchange where they were both reading lines across from each other.
You can hear the affection that they have for each other too, and I think it's really nice.
Yeah. How unexpected was Hal Smith's death? Was it like, were they like mid-recording an
I don't think it was
like...
super unexpected, but I don't think he died of a long protracted illness either. I think it was a heart attack, but it was this is actually about a year, if I read correctly, this is about a year before he died. But yeah, I mean they were expecting it from the start. They cast an old man, you know, and so they kind of had this in mind the whole time, and there is sort of a winding down. So they're not like once we get to the point where he dies and they're still writing episodes, it's not that noticeable. It's not like, oh, we had Whit in this episode and now we don't.
Right.
They were pretty adaptive to the situation.
So we get now to the point of actually shooting the show, right? And there's going to be a third contestant on stage. Surprise, surprise. And who is it? Well, it's Katrina. It's the game show gets underway, right? This is done in montage format, of course.
Yeah, like the game show stuff isn't very good for the most part because they just sort of skate past it.
Which is fine.
Right. I do like Bart's announcer voice that he does. Like he puts on this like lower like voice briefly and then completely abandons it. I thought that was very charming.
But yeah, I mean, you know, things work out more or less the way that you would expect. Connie manages to keep pace for a while, but ends up getting eliminated at the end of the 6th round. And it ends up just being Eugene and Katrina. And they're face to face in the, I guess, sudden death final round. I guess it's like weakest link kind of thing.
Yeah, or like a Family Feud. You know, one person gets asked first, and if they don't get it, then the next person gets to grab the point. And so Eugene gets this opportunity to grab the point from Katrina regarding a question about the Stanley steamer.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Too bad. Eugene, the ball's in your racket. Do you know the name?
The ball's in your racket.
Streamline. What was that? The Stanford Streamline. The Stanford Streamline. Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong answer. Oh.
You idiot.
The ball's in your racket and wrong answer.
Answer.
Oh, it's so good.
They pulled me back in.
Can I tell a quick Puff story, actually? Because we had to do a thing where every time house points were awarded, we would have like a sound that would happen. So there'd be like ding or like a wah when they were house points were taken away. Yeah. And in the early days, Matt was still experimenting with what that sound would be. And so my partner is laughing behind the curtain because they know where this is going. But we had a bit where the ding would happen, and then when we explained what losing points was, he put in the Price is Right, and then a clip of Gene Wilder going, "You lose!" And the thing was, we thought it was the funniest goddamn thing on the planet.
Right.
We get out there
it's not,
for the first night.
I can tell you that's not funny. Just like hearing that I would.
Oh, fuck you, Josh. It's hilarious.
I'm sorry, it's not funny.
It's very funny.
It's not funny.
We thought it was funny.
You thought it was
Josh,
funny.
you have a TBI.
Yeah, you have a TBI. Your sense of comedy is really fucked. But no, there was a point where so we play it hits the audience, and it's dead silent.
Yeah,
everyone on stage breaks immediately and like tries to cover it up, and we're like, okay, well that's fine, it didn't work, we'll adjust it. And then we realized that sound effect happens like 8 more times in the next 10 minutes. Not once did it get even a chuckle.
No, it's not funny.
You'd think you'd get like a mercy chuckle after
at least after the 8th time, so it'd be like, oh, it's the sound effect again. But it was also like 10 seconds long, so we all just had to kind of sit there and acknowledge it. Oh, it was lovely. But so listening to this episode, I had visceral flashbacks.
These
to those
cascading sound effects of wrong answer. Yeah.
Katrina notices that Eugene is throwing, right?
Yeah, like obviously he knew what that was. They had another question about the barking bird, and he pretended not to know the answer to that. So Katrina is like, you got to stop doing this. They get into a fight on the air, and then they come back to it, and Bart throws out the book. He just goes Robin Williams in Dead Poets Society.
Real wild.
He stands up on the desk and he says, okay, here's your question then, Eugene. What color are Katrina's eyes?
Yeah.
And Eugene, as you know, an ordinary autistic man, hasn't made a whole lot of eye contact with Katrina. Again, relatable. And he couldn't tell you what the color of her eyes are. So what is color of her eyes is? Oh, that sounds bad, but it's correct.
What is the color of her eyes?
It feels so bad to be good. But he gets the answer wrong.
I was born to be bad.
And she canonically has gray eyes.
Right.
What my grandfather always referred to as goat eyes. And no, I don't know why. Goats have rectangular pupils. I don't know.
I would be very upset if I saw a human with goat eyes.
That would be really troubling.
Is that why the last name is Shank? Is she a goat?
Yes.
That is right. A shank of lamb? That's a thing? That's a thing?
Shank of lamb?
Lamb?
What am I thinking of?
Do you have a shank of kid?
What do you think that a lamb is, AJ?
No, like
lamb is a baby
like a goat.
what?
No, like a goat.
No, a goat shank.
A goat is
a goat
kid.
shank.
I don't know.
Is that something?
No,
I
think I'm making
We're
this
just
up.
making noises now.
Great, all right, that's fine.
I feel like it would be a hawk if it's from a goat, right? Not a shank, but a hawk. So you could call it a kid hawk.
Oh, okay.
So
goat hawk.
Just then, as Eugene had to answer the question about what color Katrina's eyes are, she gets the same question, and well, she knows.
It's periwinkle blue. That's it. It's done. She wins fair and square.
Would she have lost if she didn't say periwinkle, though?
Yes.
Is it supposed to be that specific?
Sure, why not?
Or-
Yeah.
Yeah. Bart,
No, I think this is
Bart
a nice-
has a whole list of swatches that he's comparing to Eugene's eyes.
It's you didn't magic.
It's more of a periwinkle.
It's literally like the Pantone board with the different. But yeah, like this, I think this was kind of a nice moment because it's like, oh yeah, she really likes him, and she's been looking into his eyes, and it's special. And
this doesn't really reflect well on Eugene, is what I'm going to say.
No.
You're doing ableism right now.
No.
This back.
Walk it back.
No.
Walk it back now.
No, what
you
I
are
mean,
treading on thin.
No, I'm not talking about eye contact. No,
down.
I'm not talking about eye contact. What I'm talking about is his whole insistence of throwing the game,
Yes.
right? As like an act of chivalry. Like, and she's just like, fuck you. No, I can fucking beat you.
Right.
And I think that's a very nuanced and good lesson actually in this, which is like,
I liked that.
yeah, no, don't be fucking chivalrous. Like, treat them like a human.
Yeah, thank you for walking back on your ableism, AJ.
Yes.
I'm glad that you did that.
I didn't do an ableism.
I'm glad that you walked back on the ableism that
That's
you did
going to be a very
do.
useful
So
clip at some
Eugene
point in the future.
concedes a couple points here.
Yeah.
Number one, he shouldn't try to impress people so much. Number two, he shouldn't be dwarfing Connie's intelligence. And again, to your point too, AJ, of like him learning a lesson. He didn't do a misogyny here. He grew. He learned. We see him. We appreciate him. We respect him, and we honor him.
He learned not to trade his soul, for some pussy. Because if he did,
That's right.
this is what would have happened.
I kind of traded your soul to the guy at the comic book store. But look, I got some cool pogs. Elf pogs. Remember Elf?
Yep.
He's back. In pod form.
How much money do you think Bart is laundering through this trivia game?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
So much money.
That's like Blackguard money. He's taken Regis Blackguard money.
Oh,
absolutely. That's probably how that whole Hawaii trip that happens during this album gets arranged.
Yeah, I was kind of found Connie's whole thing a little moving at the end too, where she's like, she's fine, she lost, but she was like, I got to the 6th round and Eugene didn't think I was dumb.
Right.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of moving. I also find it really funny that if you look at the Truth, Trivia, and Trina entry in Adventures in Odyssey wiki, you can find that the discussion question number 1 is, why did Eugene think Connie wasn't very intelligent? Followed up with, was he right? Which I think rocks.
The rules. Big fan.
Is there an answer key for those? Like, do they have like?
These are open discussion questions. They don't provide answers. That wraps up that episode. Let's move right on then to episode 260. Naturally, I Assumed. This is a Paul McCusker episode from February '94. So this aired like a month after True Trivia and Trina. And this one is really just picking up, as we were saying before. It picks up right where that last episode left off.
Connie has been, observing Eugene and not talking to him, I guess, about it, but she remarks to wit that he's late. He's late to leave work because he always goes straight from Wit's End to hang out with Katrina before she has whatever engagement that she needs to go to in the evenings. So they're taking their time off to do little hangout dates.
And this was, as we'll recall, following directly up on how Eugene asked Whit to do it just that one time. This is a pattern. This is just the way things are.
They're also cleaning out ice cream bins from the bottom, and my ears always perk up whenever Whit mentions anything sticky, and I'm like, what's really in those ice cream?
There we go. So, Eugene...
He's saving it for later.
Connie needles Eugene a little bit. He's like, no, we're just friends. Whit, being a fucking dumbass typical man, takes Eugene's word for it for some reason, even though he saw all of the events of that episode with the game show where they looked into each other's eyes deeply.
Periwinkle blue.
The fuck?
Yeah, but Whit was actually busy operating the camera and zooming in on the ghosts of children that were all just in the background.
No, that's a really good point.
He sees through any screen these days. Yeah.
Eugene, are you blushing?
Am I? No, it's merely the heat in this cafe. It's always inappropriately set. A computerized thermostat would do wonders here.
I thought it was quite cool in here.
Oh, yes. Well, my metabolism may be operating at a... never mind.
Oh, you're cute, Eugene.
Oh, it's probably the lighting.
I don't think so. But I have to leave now.
You have to leave?
Yes, I have a 5 o'clock engagement, and
So
I don't like
weirdly
to keep
written.
him waiting.
Yeah. It's just like,
Oh my God.
he's just like, okay,
I have to go now. My planet needs me.
Eugene, you're so cute. Bye.
God, he's so horny. Like it's so palpable. Like
And he's not a Christian, so why not, Eugene?
Why aren't they fucking? Okay, like
you want to end up like Whit freezing your jizz for later? Come on.
He traded his soul to science.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what science said to him?
I kind of traded your soul to the guy
God
in the
damn
comic
it.
book store. But look,
I walked
got some
into
cool
it like
pogs.
Sideshow Bob with the fucking rakes.
Remember Alf? He's back in pod form.
Dog form. That's right.
But yes, Katrina is needed elsewhere, so she has to leave because she's got a meeting with a different guy.
Katrina's Polly.
Yeah. And Eugene does
Remember
not take
Alf?
this well.
He's
Shut
back
the fuck
in
up.
Polly form.
No.
God
No.
fucking damn it. I want this joke polygon.
Hey.
Oh.
But yeah, Eugene doesn't take this well, right? He's not.
No.
He's not happy to hear that Katrina has potentially another man in her life.
Yeah.
And frankly, nor should he, right? Like he doesn't need to accept this. So he goes and does what he does when he's feeling this way, which is he goes and debugs a program about it.
Yeah, and Connie decides this is a good time to step into Eugene's life. Just like I taught him how to drive, I can teach him how to fuck.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
Connie does a gender here. Like she tells Eugene that, he doesn't understand women because he's a man.
Right.
And because she's a woman, she understands women and men.
What she gets out of him is that he's worried that Katrina doesn't really reciprocate his feelings. And so Connie basically just coaches him in a better way to communicate.
I believe it goes without saying that I've enjoyed our meetings.
Stop right there. Goes without saying. Enjoyed our meetings? Eugene, I said to be sweet and romantic, not submit a budget to your department head.
I thought it was a nice informal touch.
Try. I've been thinking about you all day. In fact, I've been trying to come up with the words to share how I feel, but they don't exist. All I know is that my heart beats faster when I think about seeing you, and
Connie's been reading some paperbacks.
For sure.
it's a token of deep affection.
You jest!
She'll melt! Try it.
I'm
She found
feeling
Whit's
slightly
stash.
embarrassed by all of this.
Go on.
I have been thinking about you the entire day, nay, even through the night.
Nice touch.
My mind is racing with the words to articulate how I feel. Alas, they do not exist. All I know is that my
You hear
heart
that
beats
door there?
faster when I think about seeing you, and, well, please accept this gift as an unworthy token of my deep affection.
And then Whit is like, whoa, don't mind me.
Yep. Typical Whit.
I don't like watching.
Snooping is bad when kids do it, but when Whit does it,
Right.
it's A-okay.
And then they leave, and then Whit is like, Also, they like each other. What about Katrina?
Oh, man. If only there was an episode about making assumptions.
Yeah,
right? Was in earlier.
What if Whit had personally experienced the consequences of people making assumptions about his life?
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed out the door opening because I didn't clock that the first time. And I was just like, how long has he been standing there? Was it literally the whole
pretty
scene?
long?
Yeah, it's a long time. I will say this is sort of like where the episode like diverged in Yellow Wood and they took the path that I hated because what I actually really wanted them to do was a full-on Cyrano, right? Where Connie was fully feeding Eugene lines and then Trina's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And then it turns out that Connie is gay for Katrina. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, that would have been good.
That'd be great.
Good tragedy there.
And then he goes off to war, right? Like that's what happens to Cyrano de Bergerac.
Yeah. And
I only remember the Wishbone version.
I think Trina arrives in a carriage full of perfume or something.
Yes,
I don't
something
know.
like that. Yeah. Connie has a big nose.
My panache. Anyway, Whit comes in and adds a little thing to his ice cream collection and then is like,
this fucking guy.
We can't keep the cum ice cream thing as like an ongoing bit, right, AJ?
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
It's already canonized.
I think it's already in there.
Sometimes a bit is fine if you just leave it to one episode, like the leather bar bit, which was very good.
Yes, it was. It was very good. Yes, it was. And would it feel better if it was cumsicles?
No.
Okay.
Because I'd look at those cumsicles and I'd say, what is this?
I actually
wait a minute, Eugene, Connie.
So I want to throw this over to Josiah. Actually,
Wits?
No.
What is this?
Sorry,
this is Josh's hell.
We're overloading Josh's cerebrum. He recently suffered a TBI.
I'm feeling so concussed right now. Yeah. So actually, so here's one for you, Josiah. What are your thoughts on sort of the chemistry between Katie Lee and Will Ryan as performers broadly? Because you've listened to a lot of Odyssey.
You mean like Eugene and Connie?
Yeah.
I think they're. Oh man, I think they have a ton of chemistry, and like, I don't know, my enjoyment of these episodes increased in the order we listened to them.
Yes.
Basically, like the first one, for the most part, I think the best one was probably Truth, Trivia, and Trina. I think that one was the most solid, but like, I like the banter that they have ongoing throughout this. It's good.
Yeah.
It's like, her like, him go like, what's the whole like, you jest. It's very Eugene and his character. And then she's like, oh, she'll melt. Try it. The way she delivers those lines, it's just very like, I believe these.
And that's the thing too. I think, Connie is so fucking confident in a way that is very true to like a headstrong, let's say 17-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Who's just like, I've got, because they both have it all figured out. They both think they have it all figured out in their own ways. And that's what makes them such interesting foils to each other.
Oh yeah. Like, I feel like I've had these kinds of interactions in high school where it's, I being the Eugene, the dumb idiot, male, and having like some friend that's a girl that's like, here's how you do it. It's magic. And then it's still kind of wrong, but it's kind of right. It totally, it's very believable. All of it's very believable.
Yeah. And that's also like, it's such a good, like dramatic scaffold, like they're basically doing the bit from Back to the Future as we see in this payoff here.
My mind is racing, you see, and alas, they do not exist.
What doesn't exist?
My mind, I mean the words.
What words?
The words of my mind that I'm trying to say.
Eugene, please, I have to go.
Right. Well, please accept this token which you're unworthy of.
Huh?
This is a gift. That's what I was going to say in the first place.
Oh.
It's, I am your density. At this point, Eugene has given the gift. He's figured out Katrina's love language, as it were.
Yeah.
He then finds out that where Katrina is going is to Darren. She doesn't want to keep Darren waiting.
Oh, God.
Right.
Oh no.
Darren Nichols.
That's right.
She really is Polly.
Again, this episode diverged in the woods. Like, there is an opportunity here for it to be like, oh, she does have a boyfriend. This is the driving force behind most sitcoms, right? Just like, okay, so that's a doomed relationship, and we're going to watch Eugene sort of accept it and move on, but there's going to be a will they, won't they tension. And no.
Yeah, I said there is a decent half of an episode here. And by this time, we are in the second half. I don't even have like clips
this
anymore.
Is where
it's just people repeating what happened in the previous scene. And Odyssey has this problem anyway, where like something will happen that involves one character. That character will then go on and explain what happened in the previous scene to another character.
That happens a lot more in Phil Lawler episodes generally, but like this is an Odyssey problem in general.
Yeah. So here it's just a lot of back and forth and all around and rewinding and fast forwarding. And it turns out Darren is actually just a child. It's a limey child.
Well, is he British? Is the child British?
The actor is not.
I'm really
absolutely
glad you brought
not.
this
No.
up. Yeah. Did you pull a clip of him?
I didn't. I didn't clip it because it just feels mean to make fun of a child in this
we
way.
need to make fun of this child.
No,
we need
This
to.
child does not sound English.
We made fun of children on this very episode.
Yeah.
At the beginning when we were talking about Ben and Esther.
Yes, but who were those children coming down?
Yeah, but also, Josh, like, you know, I feel like you and I being child actors,
right?
I think if we give permission, then it's okay if we make fun of this kid.
They have the card they can pull there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Darren, it turns out, is just a little boy, and he's, dear.
I have some porridge.
Oh, I've come here from England.
and all he wants to do is just learn some things from Katrina and go to the comic shop.
Yep.
And you know, something funny happened over there.
Don't you
I kind of traded your soul to the guy at the comic book
I
store.
hate
But look,
you.
I got some cool pogs. Elf
This
pogs.
episode has been so
Remember
deleterious
Elf?
to my
Elf's
mental health.
back.
In pog form. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Wit and the Alf Pog is actually the fourth book.
Hey, that's the sound of Wit sticking his dick in a pog canister. That's one that's going to resonate strictly for the over 30s in our audience.
Wow.
Oh, I should mention, because this is actually kind of important. Eugene does also, on Connie's insistence, give Katrina a gift of flowers, which she ends up being allergic to. And so then Katrina receives the flowers and sounds just like Milhouse.
Oh, and I do have this. I didn't clip the scene where he delivered the flowers, but I clipped the scene where he recounts the delivery of the flowers, which is a funnier scene.
Sure.
Wait a minute, it's still early. When did you go see her?
Earlier this morning. Timing was never one of my strong attributes, you see.
What time this morning?
Virtually 7 a.m.
Eugene!
I was so excited I couldn't wait.
Well, what did she say?
In between sneezing fits, not very much.
Sneezing fits?
She's allergic to carnations.
Oh, no. And the candy?
Too high in sugar content.
Oh, Eugene. I'm sorry.
No doubt Darren will be far more astute at winning her over than I have been. He would certainly know better than to awaken her out of bed on a Saturday morning to deliver a fatal assortment of flowers and candy.
It's sugar, man.
Katrina does end up coming through Wit's End to introduce Eugene to Darren, which again, turns out he's just a literal child.
Katrina, why didn't you tell Eugene who Darren was? He didn't ask. You two are made for each other.
And really,
look out at the ducks.
We're at the end of the episode now. I mean, this episode just fizzles the fuck out at the end.
The one line, I didn't clip it, but the one line that has always stuck in my head from this one was when the very convincingly British child asks if he should be taking notes on all of their assumptions, and they just turn to him and say, in unison, never assume.
Yep, there we go.
That's just rattling around in here.
That's the point of the episode. Although we do get one last thing, of course. Wit is he tries to have a sensitive employer-employee conversation with Connie and Eugene about the perils of fucking your coworker, and they're like, "But we don't like each other." And Wit looks like a fucking idiot, and it makes me so happy.
And then they make him clean the place up at night.
That's right.
They punish him. Wit gets punished. And you know how he reacts to punishment?
Yeah, he does. He does. He sure does. Save some of that for later.
So, yeah, I mean, Eugene...
He fucks.
Presumably getting his dick wet. We don't see it or hear it. If only we did. But, you know, it's fine. I'm not...
Is that what you were really, like...
Yeah, I was really...
That's what you wanted when you were a kid, Josh.
Well,
Like, that could have been your sexual awakening.
I just think it would be really nice if everybody went on AO3 and wrote some Eugene/Katrina... Like right now, the only thing that's actually on there in terms of erotic fiction is Richard Maxwell / Regis Blackguard.
There's so much Richard Maxwell.
That's
right.
Just
An
a lot of fan art about that too.
amount
Yeah.
of Richard Maxwell
So,
stuff.
dear listener, I'm using my parasocial connection with you right now to encourage you to write erotic fan fiction about Adventures in Odyssey and put it online. We need more.
Yeah, specifically Katrina and Eugene.
Correct.
We want that. Yeah.
So,
no more Richard Maxwell. I've seen everything.
I've had enough.
Yeah, like
I've seen enough.
there was one where Richard Maxwell, where like Maxwell was having sex with Jason Whittaker.
Oh,
like, come on.
Speaking of depravity and being depraved, you've spent 3 completely depraved hours with us now. Would love to hear your thoughts just now broadly on the Adventures in Odyssey experience. Katrina, Eugene, Connie, whatever. Floor's yours.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. Is there a nice unifying takeaway from these 4? I'm trying to think. Not entirely. I think the second half. I think that I think they do a pretty good job with the character of Eugene, and I do think I like that we do get to see him develop, even if this second. The last episode we did here is kind of a slog. I do think overall, though, it's like the really fleshed out characters. There's a lot of chemistry. I like that a lot. And you don't see as much of like the horrifying ideology of Adventures in Odyssey coming out in these like last 2 episodes. These were just kind of good fun for the most part.
Yeah.
I didn't nothing too shocking about it. As opposed to Hold Up, which I think is a really fun episode, but holy shit. There's some ideology there.
Which like as a kid, it's just like you had said, as a kid, it's just like the creationism stuff. It's just where you are.
It's just there.
So it just sort of passes over you. And then as an adult, you come back to it and you're like, oh boy.
Oh my God. Well, that was, this was, when Josh came on Mammonburg, I made this comment too, because all my other co-hosts are not evangelicals.
Yeah, they don't get it like we do.
Yeah. No, they don't get it. And like what I had tried to explain is like
AJ.
They're just like me for real.
Yeah. If you grow up evangelical, it is like every day finding out like another one of your childhood cartoons was secretly racist. Yeah. And that's just like what it keeps feeling like every day.
Yeah.
Speaking of secretly racist or not so secretly racist childhood cartoons, when we were planning out the live show, which by the way is tomorrow, if you're listening to this episode on the day that it dropped, we were looking at one of the Adventures in Odyssey cartoons, which is one where they go into the past. Dylan goes into the past and he has a black friend who gets enslaved inside of the imagination station.
Yeah. Oh my God.
We decided against that one.
So instead, we'll be recapping a different Adventures in Odyssey videotape, as well as an episode of McGee and Me with our good friend Michael Kupperman. So links for that are also in the episode description, the show notes. Check it out. You know, we'd love to see you there, either in person or via live stream if you can make it. So, Josiah, why don't you tell the good people about Mammonburg and where they can find it?
I co-host a podcast called Mammonburg. It's kind of the 3 of us are all Christians of different traditions, and we are all of the left, of the far left. So if you kind of want some current events, want us to do deep dives into insane Christian right-wing fascists and shit, we do all sorts of that good stuff, and mostly just make a lot of dick jokes. So.
Yeah. It's a really wonderful podcast. I'm frankly very relieved that you survived the storms in your latest episode. And it really is. It is so hopeful and optimistic in the way that I think a lot of people sort of levy against leftist podcasts being like doomerist or like, you know, incredibly nihilistic. Like y'all just have such a good time, and there's just so much like laughter and joy and optimism for the future in it that I really strongly recommend people go.
I really
check it
appreciate
out.
that. I feel like we're so pessimistic that it's good to hear that the hope comes through.
So when we listen to these episodes of Adventures in Odyssey, and we do sort of get this we get sort of like both sides of the coin of the show, right? On the one hand, we get the very paranoid, very nihilistic view of humanity, that man is inherently evil. That's the one side of the Odyssey coin that will always sort of presently be there, I think personified in the form of John Avery Whittaker. But on the other side of the coin, the other 2 episodes that we listened to today, you get the kindness of Eugene. You get like these loving relationships. You see the inherent good in people in, you know, the relationship between Eugene and Connie. Like you see like the hopeful way forward. I feel like those are the 2 impulses that battle for the very soul of Adventures in Odyssey.
Yeah.
And my God, it's just such a relief that they sold their soul.
And then what happened? Did something happen after that?
That's a good question. I'm having a really hard time remembering it. Maybe if someone else could maybe.
Yeah. If someone else could.
Yeah.
I'm the worst of all possible AJs.
I'm the worst of all possible Brians.
I hate you so much, both of you. I'm the worst of all possible Joshes. See you next week.
Alf's back.
In pog form!